Chapter 829. Perhaps it was because everyone had been in the cave abode all this time and did not see the strange phenomenon in the sky. Moreover, the restriction and formation in the cave abode had blocked everyone's senses. That was why they only reacted when the cave abode trembled due to the huge pressure. As for the other experts in the vicinity, they had already sensed it. Therefore, they had escaped in time and turned back in time. There were also some powerhouses who were slightly further away. When they saw the strange phenomenon in the sky, they had already begun to fly over. Now, they were also flying towards the center of the huge pit. The stone monument was also 1,000 feet tall, 3,000 feet wide, and 500 feet thick. It stood tall and gave off a strong sense of oppression. It was also a tombstone with the words Tomb of Taishan Laojun written on it. No way, that old fellow can die too? Xiao Tianquan was dumbfounded when it saw the words clearly. Even Senior Taishan Laojun has fallen. The ancient starry sky road is really a dead end. Big Sister Gu said with a heavy expression. It's over, it's over. This old fellow is dead. I'm afraid my master and your husband, don't talk nonsense. Even if your master dies 100 times, my husband will still be fine. Before Xiao Tianquan could finish, Big Sister Gu angrily interrupted. Although I hate that old bastard Hongjun and his 3 Pure One's disciples, I have to admit that Taishan Laojun's strength is really abnormal. I'm afraid that 10 of my master and 10 of your husbands would not be enough for him to pinch them with 2 fingers. Even this old fellow is dead. This shows how dangerous the ancient starry sky road is, Xiao Tianquan said with a sad face. There are many dangerous places that not only depend on one's strength, but also on one's luck. On the ancient starry sky road, I don't think that the stronger one is, the safer it is. Maybe the stronger one is, the more dangerous it is. Otherwise, why would those who have their tombstones placed there be all top powerhouses? Some of the weaker powerhouses who went to the ancient starry sky road did not have their tombstones placed there, Big Sister Gu said reasonably. Maybe those ordinary powerhouses are not qualified to have their tombstones placed there. Xiao Tianquan still looked dejected. You damn dog, you should really die with your master. Big Sister Gu snapped. At this moment, there were already quite a few Star Realm powerhouses that had flown in front of the tombstone. After looking at it for a while, some of the bolder ones began to attack the tombstone. Since it is the tombstone of the deceased, why would it fall from the starry sky? If it falls like this, it will definitely be shattered, Xiaoling Yu said in confusion. Who knows? Ever since the experts from the world of immortals started to climb the ancient star path, tombstones would occasionally fall from the sky. We have never been to the ancient star path, so we don't know what's up there. Big Sister Gu shook her head and said. On Grand Supreme Elderly Lord's tombstone, there was an insignia of a yin-yang fish. It looked like an extremely high-quality artifact. That seems to be Taishan Laojun's innate spiritual treasure Taiji diagram. The howling celestial dog let out a cry of surprise. It then opened its mouth and spat out the 5 offensive magic treasures. It then excitedly charged towards the tombstone. Under the attacks of several Star Realm powerhouses, the tombstone was already covered in cracks. When the howling celestial dog rushed over, the tombstone suddenly exploded. What's there to fight for? Elderly Lord's Tai Chi diagram is a natural spiritual treasure. It has extremely high spirituality. It's not like anyone can take it for themselves unless they are stronger than Elderly Lord. Big Sister Gu did not rush over to fight for it. She only looked at the yin-yang Tai Chi diagram that was floating in the air with a serious expression. She even brought Xiaoling Yu and the others to a distance to prevent them from being affected by the battle between the Star Realm powerhouses. Actually, everyone knew that they might not be able to get the natural spiritual treasure by fighting for it. However, the Tai Chi diagram was right in front of them. They could not help but fight for it. Even an expert like the howling celestial dog could not hold back. The Star Realm powerhouses saw that the howling celestial dog was powerful and had powerful magic treasures. They immediately had a tacit understanding and attacked the howling celestial dog together. Ha, fellow Taoists, this treasure fell near my Black Wind Mountain. It should belong to me, the Black Wind Old Monster. Don't fight for it. Just as the howling celestial dog and the Star Realm powerhouses were fighting fiercely, a gust of wind wrapped around a surging black fog. It was accompanied by a burst of laughter. In just 2 breaths, the black fog had already engulfed the entire battlefield. This old monster's strength seems to have increased. Big Sister Gu brought Xiaoling Yu and the others back a distance. At the same time, she said with some surprise. Under the cover of the black fog, Xiaoling Yu could only hear the continuous sounds of intense fighting. However, she could not see the situation inside. Her expression was calm. With Big Sister Gu and the howling celestial dog here, even if the Black Wind Old Monster wanted to settle the score with her, Xiaoling Yu did not have to be afraid. Moreover, the Black Wind Old Monster might not even know who killed his disciple. In the black fog, the fierce battle lasted for nearly an hour. Only then did the howling celestial dog rush out with the 5 treasures. It was still cursing unhappily. Damn it, you all think I look kind and want to fight me? I'm not going to play with you anymore. If you have the ability, you can snatch the Tai Chi diagram for me to see. Haha, Big Sister Gu looked at the howling celestial dog's sorry state and could not help but laugh heartily. She said, "It's not that you look kind, it's just that you're too ugly. Anyone who sees you can't help but want to beat you up." The howling celestial dog opened its mouth and put away the 5 treasures. Then, it said, "That's because there's a problem with your appreciation level." "How's the Black Wind Old Monster's strength?" Big Sister Gu asked. "He's all right. He's definitely not as strong as me," the howling celestial dog replied nonchalantly. "From what I see, even if he's not as strong as you, he's not that far off. Moreover, each of your treasures is extremely powerful. Without their help, you might not be able to defeat the Black Wind Old Monster." Big Sister Gu said. "Who said I can't have a few powerful treasures? They use treasures because of their own ability, and I'm using treasures because of external help?" The howling celestial dog said, unconvinced. After waiting for another hour, Star Realm experts continuously flew out from the black fog. Each and every one of them had a gloomy complexion. After they came out, they did not stay for even a moment and immediately flew away. The black fog gradually dispersed. Only an old man wearing a very loose black robe was left in the field. That old man's sleeves were really too loose. As they fluttered in the wind, it made him look like a big black bat with its wings spread wide. The old man had a head of long hair, intertwined with black and white. It was also fluttering in the wind. Looking at the length of his hair, if it were to fall flat, it would directly touch the ground. This old man was the Black Wind Old Monster. He could be considered as one of the few experts in the southwest region of the Immortals' mainland. The Black Wind Old Monster actually relied on his own strength to beat back several Star Realm experts. Moreover, right now, he did not seem to be injured at all. It could be seen that his strength was tyrannical. And that yin-yang Tai Chi diagram was still quietly floating in the air. The Black Wind Old Monster was currently quietly observing it. His brows were almost knitted together. After observing for a while, the Black Wind Old Monster released his own power and soul power to wrap around the Tai Chi diagram. He tried to communicate with the Tai Chi diagram's spirituality. The reason why everyone was fighting with all their strength was actually to be the first to try to gain the recognition of the Tai Chi diagram's spirituality. The Tai Chi diagram also quickly released a circle of black and white radiance that enveloped him. However, in just a moment, that circle of radiance disappeared, and the Tai Chi diagram did not have the slightest movement. "Black Wind, this Tai Chi diagram doesn't care about you." The howling celestial dog leisurely flew over and said with a complacent tone. "Xiao Tian, do you think it will care about you?" The Black Wind Old Monster sneered. "That's not necessarily true. After all, it was left behind by an expert of our Earth lineage. Perhaps it will feel the rustic aura on me and submit to me." As the howling celestial dog finished speaking, he had already arrived under the Tai Chi diagram. Just like the Black Wind Old Monster, he released his power and soul power to communicate with the Tai Chi diagram's spirit. The Tai Chi diagram also released a circle of black and white radiance that enveloped the howling celestial dog. However, that circle of radiance also disappeared after that. There was no movement at all. Ha ha. The black-winged old monster laughed loudly and said, "Looks like the rustic aura on your body is useless." The howling celestial dog's expression was a little awkward. It used one of its front paws to scratch its head again. Then, it waved its paws at Shaolin Yu and Big Sister Gu and said, "Don't just watch. Come and try too. Who knows, you might have a chance to obtain this connate spiritual treasure." Big Sister Gu smiled and flew over with Shaolin Yu and her family. "You little girl, go to the side first. This is a treasure left behind by an expert from Earth. Naturally, we have to try to make it recognize us as its master first." The howling celestial dog waved its paws at Big Sister Gu. Then, it pointed at Shaolin Yu and said, "You go first." "Wait." Before Big Sister Gu could say anything, the black-winged old monster had already shouted softly. Everyone looked at the black-winged old monster beside him. They saw him pointing at Shaolin Yu and saying, "Kid, that useless disciple of mine was killed by you, right?" Big Sister Gu immediately said, "Black-winged old monster, you can't say things like that." The howling celestial dog didn't care and said, "You said it yourself that your disciple was useless. No matter who killed him, he can only blame himself for not being skilled enough. He deserved to die." The black-winged old monster sneered again and said, "I've never wronged or framed anyone. I've sent my disciples to investigate before. First, they found the cultivator who asked my disciple to kill him. Although he's already dead, I have countless disciples in Black Wind Ridge. I'll definitely be able to find out the truth." "Why, Black Wind, are you going to avenge your disciple?" The howling celestial dog's tone had changed. "Shouldn't I avenge my disciple?" The black-winged old monster retorted. "To tell you the truth, this kid is now my new master. If you kill him, I'll be in trouble too. Do you still want to avenge him?" The howling celestial dog said directly. When the black-winged old monster heard this, his frown deepened. He never thought that the howling celestial dog would recognize this kid as its master. He wasn't too afraid of the howling celestial dog, but if they really fought, he definitely wasn't confident that he could defeat it. Then, he saw that Big Sister Gu was also standing beside the kid, as if they were going to advance or retreat together. The black-winged old monster knew that his revenge was hopeless. At least, it was hopeless today. He hesitated and said, "I can let this kid go, but the Southern Star Pavilion is also looking for him. I'll wait for the Southern Star Pavilion to finish him off." Chapter 830. Shaolin Yu knew that the South Star Pavilion was precisely the great power that Mo Chi and the others belonged to. Not only did they control the Gourd City and the Floating Cloud City, even the entire southwest region of the Immortals continent was their territory. They were extremely powerful and had many astral extreme realm warriors. Shaolin Yu had already expected that South Star Pavilion would place a bounty on his family. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone into hiding. Black Wind, the entire southwest region of the Immortals mainland has become South Star Pavilion's territory. Is your Black Wind Ridge also preparing to submit? Big Sister Gu asked curiously. Submit? What a joke. Black Wind's expression was indifferent as he said, "They don't have the qualifications to make my Black Wind Ridge submit. Although Black Wind Ridge doesn't have as many experts as South Star Pavilion, and our entire power is not even 1/10,000th of theirs, my Black Wind Ridge is still not afraid of anyone in the southwest region of the Immortals mainland. When those elders of South Star Pavilion see me, they would have to call me Black Wind. South Star Pavilion might not be able to do anything to your Black Wind Ridge, but don't forget, South Star Pavilion is only a branch of Star Pavilion. Not to mention the entire Star Pavilion, even if South Star Pavilion and West Star Pavilion joined hands, they would still be able to flatten your Black Wind Ridge with minimal losses." Big Sister Gu said with a smile. "They have no reason to launch a large-scale expedition against Black Wind Ridge." Black Wind said. "Brat, they are chatting among themselves. What are you still standing there for?" Xiao Tianquan urged Xiaoling Yu. Xiaoling Yu nodded. Then, he shifted his attention to the yin-yang Tai Chi diagram left behind by Taishan Laojun. Although he didn't try to make it recognize him as its master, he was more than 80% sure that he could make it recognize him as its master. Sure enough, when he wrapped his power and soul power around the Tai Chi diagram, a black and white radiance enveloped his entire body. A moment later, the Tai Chi diagram suddenly trembled for a while. Then, it sank into his body and floated above his primal chaos nascent soul. It slowly rotated. Congratulations, congratulations. Big Sister Gu said with a smile. As expected, you are a brat with great fortune. That old bastard Hong Jun is quite accurate. Xiao Tianquan said. Humph. Black Wind coldly snorted. He flew away with a face full of displeasure. He didn't even bid farewell. This fellow must be thinking that since we can't make the Taiji diagram recognize us as its master, he will bring the Taiji diagram back and let his disciples try it one by one. Big Sister Gu guessed, after all, this is his. Xiao Tianquan said with a firm tone. I still feel that something is amiss. Of all places, why did old Lord Taishang's tombstone fall? Why did it fall right beside us? Xiaoling Yu's face was full of doubt. He felt that this matter could not be explained by coincidence. What's the point of thinking so much? As long as the treasure is in our hands, it's fine. Even if some expert did this on purpose, he probably didn't have any bad intentions, the howling celestial dog said nonchalantly. While I get the benefits, there must be some troubles waiting for me to solve. Maybe I have to pay a price. Even if a pie falls from the sky, the immortals' mainland is so big. There is no reason for it to fall in front of us. Xiaoling Yu said with a bitter smile. There may be a problem. But be careful in the future. You can't just throw away the innate spiritual treasure that you obtained with great difficulty. Big Sister Gu said calmly. You guys are just too smart. You are always suspicious of this and that. How tiring. Look at me, I am so carefree. I don't have to worry about anything. Even if the sky falls, there is a tall one to hold it up. Xiao Tianquan said lazily. Senior, although you have a free and easy temperament, aren't you still running around? If the sky really falls and the tall one is gone, what are we going to do? Xiaoling Yu shook his head and said. This is what you self-proclaimed smart cultivators should worry about. Anyway, I don't have to think about anything. I will go to the ancient starry sky path to find my master after I finish what those guys told me. The celestial hound waved its front paw disinterestedly and reminded, the Grand Supreme Elderly Lord has already fallen. His Tushita Palace has also become an ownerless object. I'm afraid it won't be long before it appears again. Now that you have the yin-yang taiji diagram, it might be able to give you some guidance and let you find the Tushita Palace first. Let's not talk about this for now. Let's find a place to stay. Old monster Black Wind might not be able to avenge himself, but he might leak our whereabouts to the Southern Star Pavilion, Big Sister Gu said kindly. You guys go find a place. I have to do something else. Xiao Tianquan waved his paw. Senior, you are leaving again? Xiaoling Yu frowned. Yes. In order to go to the ancient starry sky path to meet my master as soon as possible, I have to finish what they told me. Xiao Tianquan nodded. Senior, are you sure you don't need help? Xiaoling Yu asked kindly. I do, but if you guys follow me, you will only make things worse. It would be better if you guys had reached the celestial extremity realm. Xiao Tianquan said noncommittally. Senior, please be careful. Xiaoling Yu naturally would not force it to stay. Don't worry. This damn dog is not as brave as you think. It will never touch dangerous things. Big Sister Gu said sarcastically. You are such a snob, a snob. Do you know where I went before? You will be scared to death if I tell you. Xiao Tianquan said unhappily. Where? Is it the center of the Heavenly Star Forest? Big Sister Gu glanced at Xiao Tianquan and asked curiously. I went to Thunder Sky Mountain's Heavenly Thunder Peak last time. Xiao Tianquan said proudly. Big Sister Gu was stunned at first. Then she said, forget it. With your courage and ability, you dare to go to Heavenly Thunder Peak where only Celestial Extremity Realm Masters dare to go? Even if you really went to Thunder Sky Mountain, you must have wandered around the foot of the mountain. You don't believe me when I say you are wrong. Do you know where I am going this time? You will be scared to death if I tell you. Xiao Tianquan seemed to be showing off. Where? Big Sister Gu asked. Xiaoling Yu could tell that Big Sister Gu did not believe it. She was just trying to get information out of it. This time, I am going to the Demon Abyss Hell's Evil Spirit Island. Xiao Tianquan raised its head high, like a hero about to go to war. Damn dog, why are you going there? Do you want to die? Big Sister Gu asked in shock. You don't have to worry about that. Although this trip is very dangerous, I am not afraid. After Xiao Tianquan finished speaking, it flew away with a strong sense of righteousness. It really did look like it was going to face thousands of demons. First to Heavenly Thunder Peak, then to Evil Spirit Island. Could it be? Big Sister Gu did not finish her sentence, but her expression was even more shocked. It was as if she could not believe her own speculation. What is it, Big Sister Gu? Xiaoling Yu felt that something was wrong, so she asked. If I am not wrong, this damn dog must have gone to Heavenly Thunder Peak and secretly caught a Thunder Spirit. Then, it sent the Thunder Spirit to Evil Spirit Island in the Demon Abyss Hell, and let the Thunder Spirit destroy the seal on Evil Spirit Island. But if that is really the case, then it is to release the Evil Spirit Demon Lord. This is not good for the cultivators of the realm of immortals. Why would it do that? Big Sister Gu was very confused. Xiao Tianquan Sr. was asked to do this by an expert. It probably doesn't know why it is doing this. Xiaoling Yu said. Forget about it. Even if it is as I guessed, even if that damn dog stole an Extreme Star Realm Thunder Spirit, it will take at least 10 million years to break the seal on Evil Spirit Island. Let's find a place to hide first. Big Sister Gu said and took out the Rao Nam's bowl again. According to the previous plan, Big Sister Gu drove the Rao Nam's bowl and continued to fly northeast. They were getting closer and closer to the Heavenly Star Forest in the center of the Immortals' mainland. When they passed by some big cities, Big Sister Gu also sold all kinds of treasures that she and Linger had collected over the years. She also spent a lot of yang crystals to buy some resources that everyone needed for cultivation. In the years that they left Gourd Island, Big Sister Gu and Linger could be said to have a bountiful harvest. The yang crystals they exchanged were in the hundreds of millions. Xiaoling Yu and the other cultivators looked like they had a lot, but no matter how much they squandered, they could not hope to use up all the yang crystals in Xiaoling Yu and Big Sister Gu's storage rings. In the blink of an eye, more than 300 years had passed since they parted with Xiao Tianquan. Big Sister Gu suddenly pointed at a big mountain in front of them and said, "That's the Hot Spring Mountain Range. It covers a large area. There are many deep caves and underground passages. Let's hide there for a while." From afar, the Hot Spring Mountain Range was shrouded in a thick mist. Countless mountains were faintly discernible. It looked like a good place. However, when they got closer, they discovered that the Hot Spring Mountain Range was filled with rich water energy. There was also a pungent smell that was released after burning sulfur. When they sensed it carefully, they discovered that there seemed to be a strong fire energy fluctuation in the Hot Spring Mountain Range. Not long after they entered the mountain range, Xiaoling Yu heard more than 10 explosions. Occasionally, they could even feel that the mountains were shaking violently. This place is a little special. Water and fire exist together. The two attributes are completely different, and they are both very rich. Therefore, there is often an energy conflict. The explosions are earth-shattering. Although there are countless hot springs here, cultivators don't have the leisure to take a bath. The hot springs don't make cultivators feel very comfortable. The environment here is also very strange and not very quiet. Therefore, there aren't many cultivators in the Hot Spring Mountain Range. Big Sister Gu explained as she led everyone into the mountain range. However, you can all be at ease. Apart from the frequent explosions and tremors, there isn't much danger here. There are some ferocious beasts and birds of prey, but their cultivation levels are below Xingji's. They aren't much of a threat to everyone. As she spoke, a large bird flapped its wings and pounced towards them. Big Sister Gu waved her hand and shot out a beam of brilliant star fire, killing the bird on the spot. After flying for nearly 10 days, Big Sister Gu finally stopped. She said, "We've reached the depths of the mountain range. There's a cave over there. Let's go take a look." "I don't like it here," Xiao and I said with a pout. The other children nodded in agreement. Chapter 831. The inside of the cave was also steaming, and the pungent smell was even stronger. The children were all very unhappy, and their mothers were all frowning. At this moment, Xiaolingyu was also a little depressed. As a man, he actually couldn't let his wife and children have a stable and comfortable home. He was really a little incompetent. However, this was still a helpless choice. When Linger had slaughtered the Yun clan in a fit of rage, everyone had charged out of Gourd City with incomparable strength. Everyone had felt very refreshed, but they hadn't been mentally prepared to bear the serious consequences of that refreshment. This family's mentality was still too strong, and they had too much of a sense of superiority. They always felt that although the world was big, no one could bully them, and that they ought to live the life of a wealthy family that was respected by everyone. The cave twisted and turned, and there were countless forks. It was like a maze. After walking for a full 4 hours, Big Sister Gu finally stopped. She pointed to a relatively spacious underground cave and said, "Let's settle down here first. Don't look at the environment here. At least it's quiet and safe." Usually, there are very few cultivators who are willing to come to the Hot Springs mountain range, and it's even harder for anyone to find this place. As for the environment, after all, we can use formations and restrictions to improve it. In any case, we won't be staying here for long. Everyone, make do with it. Although the children were unhappy, their mothers weren't unreasonable people. Naturally, no one raised any objections. Immediately, Xiaolingyu and his family began to get busy. In less than 2 hours, this simple cave had changed its appearance. The caves and secret passages that connected to this cave were sealed off by restrictions and formations. There were also some simple furniture in the cave, and there were also some flowers and plants that had been moved over from the Immortals' cave as decorations. It looked very cozy. After everyone was settled, Big Sister Gu brought Linger out to search for treasure again. However, before they left, Big Sister Gu promised that this time, they wouldn't go too far. If anything happened here, they would rush back as soon as possible to provide support. The array and restrictions set up by Xiaolingyu and Big Sister Gu was not much weaker than the protective array around the cave. It could similarly withstand the combined attacks of multiple Star Realm experts for over 100 years. It could be considered safe and stable. By now, the family had accumulated enough wealth. Not only was it enough for everyone to cultivate to the extreme astral realm, they didn't even have to worry about cultivating to the extreme astral realm. Xiaolingyu originally didn't plan on letting Linger go out and take risks. However, firstly, Linger was willing to go out and look for opportunities. Secondly, he didn't want to disregard Big Sister Gu. Thus, he could only warn them to be extremely careful and not to stop them. After Linger and Big Sister Gu left, Xiaolingyu set up the array diagram or Dharma array to gather the Luna energy and entered a state of cultivation with his wife, friends, and children. Although cultivation was boring, if he did not cultivate and raise his strength, how could he face the Southern Star Pavilion's bounty? Even without the Southern Star Pavilion's bounty, who could guarantee that this large family of cultivators wouldn't provoke other experts in the future? If he wanted to truly live a carefree life, he had to have enough strength. When the profound array diagram to gather the Luna energy and the Yang energy Dharma array began to operate, Xiaolingyu was pleasantly surprised to find that regardless of whether it was day or night, the Luna and Yang energy existed at the same time. It wasn't like other places that only had the Luna at night and the Yang energy during the day. Just this point alone could double his cultivation speed. How can there be such a situation? Xiaoling Yu was extremely puzzled. He knew that regardless of whether it was the 9 suns or the 9 moons, the energy they cast down during the day or night would definitely not be completely absorbed by the creatures in the realm of immortals. However, the remaining energy would either be used to form yang crystals or moon crystals, or sink into the depths of the realm of immortals' ocean or land. It wouldn't remain on the surface of the ocean or sea. However, this hot spring mountain range was completely different. Xiaoling Yu didn't immediately enter the state of cultivation. He had to figure out the reason for the strange situation in the hot spring mountain range before he could feel at ease. Therefore, after giving some instructions to Mi Ling and Miaoing, Xiaoling Yu left the cave he was temporarily staying in and went around the hot spring mountain range to investigate. It took about half a year's time for Xiaoling Yu to explore the large mountain range near the temporary cave and finally had some harvest. Through this period of investigation, he could already see that the reason why the hot spring mountain range was always rich with Luna energy was not because the special environment here could retain the energy cast by the 9 suns or the 9 moons, but because the Luna energy hidden deep underground was constantly spewing out here. As for where the energy came from and how it came out, Xiaoling Yu still couldn't figure it out, but these were not important. Now that he was back in the cave, he could finally cultivate in peace. While using the array diagram and array to speed up the refining of the chaotic nirvana true fire, Xiaoling Yu was also refining the yin-yang tai chi diagram, which could be considered to be fulfilling. In a flash, hundreds of years had passed. Big Sister Gu and Linger had not returned, but an accident happened again. This time, it was not a strong enemy attacking the cave's restriction and array, but 2 balls of flames of different colors that flew to the side of the cave for some reason. One of the 2 balls of flames was bright white, and the other was dark black. The bright white ball was incomparably hot, and the dark black ball was releasing a strange cold that could freeze time and space. They flew around the cave, bringing with them extremely rich Luna and Luna energies. Moreover, the 2 energies collided crazily, constantly creating bursts of explosions and powerful energy shockwaves. Fortunately, the defensive power of the restriction array around the cave was extremely strong, blocking all the energy shockwaves outside. However, the cave was constantly shaking violently. Not only was it difficult for everyone to enter the state of cultivation, but they were also very worried. Helpless, Xiaoling Yu braced himself and went out of the cave. He wanted to see what was going on with the 2 balls of flames. Originally, it was very dangerous to come out like this. However, he did not expect that as soon as he came out, he only took one look at the 2 balls of flames. The 2 balls of flames were like frightened little rabbits, their bodies swayed and fled along a path in the cave. The 2 balls of flames fled at an extremely fast speed. After chasing for a while, Xiaoling Yu lost his target and could only return to the cave. The 2 balls of flames fled, and the rich 2-element energies around the cave were naturally quickly absorbed by the array diagram and array diagram. The cave's surroundings returned to normal. However, less than 100 years of peace, the 2 balls of flames flew over again and circled around the cave. Xiaoling Yu came out again, and the 2 balls of flames fled again. Xiaoling Yu returned to the cave for less than 100 years of peace, and the 2 balls of flames actually came again. He could only go out again, this repeated over and over again. Xiaoling Yu and his family were very depressed and annoyed, but there was nothing they could do. Anya suggested that they change their location. After all, with Big Sister Gu and Linger's abilities, as long as they did not move too far away, they would definitely be able to find them easily. Xiaoling Yu agreed with Anya's suggestion. He first looked for a suitable place to settle down, and after setting up the restriction array and array, he brought everyone over. However, before they could live 100 years of peace in their new home, the 2 balls of flames came again. It seems that as long as we are still in this hot spring mountain range, those 2 guys can easily find us. Miao Yin said. If that's the case, why don't we return to the original cave? At least there's a restriction array set up by Big Sister Gu. It's much safer than here. Also, when Big Sister Gu and Linger come back, they won't have to waste time looking for us, Jiang Wanchang said. Thus, everyone returned to their cave. But we can't go on like this. Those two guys keep coming to disturb us. How can we focus on cultivating? Jiang Lanhua said gloomily. I'm guessing that those two guys came because they were attracted by our husband's formation in array, Jiang Lanchang said. Let's stop using the formation in array for a while and take a look at it, Anya suggested. Xiaolingyu listened to Anya's suggestion and stopped using the formation in array. In the blink of an eye, 200 years had passed. They were no longer disturbed by the two balls of flames. However, even though it was quiet, they could not speed up their cultivation. I have an idea. Jiang Lanchang said, Husband, you can set up a few more formations in array in other places to lure those two guys over. That way, they won't bother us anymore. Good idea. Xiaolingyu's eyes lit up. He happily hugged Jiang Lanhua and kissed her on the cheek. Then, he left the cave to find a suitable place to set up the formation. Just as Jiang Lanchang said, the two flames were indeed attracted to another place by the formation diagram and the magic formation. Xiaolingyu then activated the formation diagram and the magic formation in his cave, but they didn't attract them again. Jiang Lanchang's idea was very effective. In order to ensure that this place would not be disturbed, Xiaolingyu would go out every once in a while to check on the formation and array he had set up. The two balls of flames would immediately run away when they saw Xiaolingyu. However, Xiaolingyu also discovered that a few of the formations and arrays he had set up had been damaged. After careful inspection, he discovered that the formations and arrays were not directly destroyed by force. Instead, it was more like they were gradually collapsing due to the impact of too much energy over a long period of time. Moreover, the energy that attacked them was gathered by the balls of flames themselves. From this, it could be inferred that the two balls of flames would not destroy the formations and arrays. It seemed that they intended to use these formations and arrays to cultivate. Xiaolingyu felt that something was strange. He was not sure what the two balls of flames were thinking. Would they always hide from him? Would they deal with his family after they became stronger? However, at least they were very obedient right now. Moreover, his family would not be living here for a long time, so he did not think too much about it. During this period, he had tried many times to catch up to the two balls of flames or find out where they were hiding. However, because they were much faster than him, he was unable to do so. After another 1,000 years, when Myling reached the soul nirvana realm with the help of endless resources, Big Sister Gu and Ling are finally returned. However, compared to the calmness they had when they returned from treasure hunting in the past, Big Sister Gu and Ling were in a sorry state this time. Big Sister Gu's face was even pale. It was obvious that she had suffered heavy injuries. Chapter 832. From Xiaolingyu's point of view, Big Sister Gu and Linger's trip this time, other than obtaining a bottle of nirvana pills, which were of great use to their children, there was nothing special about them. However, since Big Sister Gu could still smile even though she was seriously injured, there must be something else. A prescription. Big Sister Gu seemed to have seen through Xiaolingyu's doubts. She took out a very old and tattered animal skin scroll and said, "A prescription that I've been looking for countless years. This time, I've finally found it." Big Sister Gu slowly spread out the animal skin scroll. Xiaolingyu saw more than 10 lines of blurry words. However, the 3 big words at the top of the scroll could be clearly seen if one looked carefully. Star Sky Pill. Just by looking at the name, Xiaolingyu could guess that this was an extremely powerful pill. It should be very useful to astral extreme realm experts. It was probably extremely difficult to refine. This pill can allow a cultivator who has just entered the astral extreme realm to directly move the stars. It's considered one of the most powerful pills in the world of immortals. Big Sister Gu continued to explain, although the astral extreme realm doesn't have a clear division of realms, there are 3 distinct levels. The initial astral extreme realm is called Star Extreme Fire. If you cultivate for a longer time, and if you have enough luck and comprehension, you can gather the power of the stars in a large area with a wave of your hand. This is considered the middle stage of the astral extreme realm. When a cultivator can make the stars appear in daytime with their will, they are considered to have reached the late stage of the astral extreme realm. Speaking till here, elder sister Gu paused for a moment, then she continued, the so-called stars in daytime refers to using divine sense to guide the stars in the sky in broad daylight. By resonating with the stars will shine brightly. Under this realm, the practitioners will be able to make the stars in the sky of the world of immortals even more powerful. Furthermore, they will be able to use a large amount of star power in battle. That Xiao Tianquan and Black Wind are at this realm. In that case, wouldn't it be even more powerful to move the stars? Jiang Wanchang asked curiously. Of course. Big Sister Gu nodded and said, moving the stars is the characteristic of the peak of the astral extreme realm. Cultivators under this realm can move the stars with a wave of their sleeves. They can even use their powerful divine sense to summon the stars in the sky. They can also instantly gather the power of the stars in a vast area to fight. There are also cultivators who can summon the countless stars in the sky and use their divine sense to refine those stars into treasures. So powerful. Everyone's expression. Of course, of course, of course. Now that we have the star sky pellets formula, Big Sister Gu, you can refine a few more pellets. We can all become top experts, haha. Jiang Wanchang said. Do you think it's that easy to refine the star sky pill? Even if we have the recipe, the ingredients listed on it are all extraordinary. Even if we take a step back and say that we can gather all the ingredients, with my current level of alchemy, the success rate of refining the star sky pill is less than 30%. Big Sister Gu rolled her eyes at Jiang Wanchang and explained unhappily. The reason I want those recipes is mainly to learn some lost refining techniques and increase my knowledge from those recipes. Using this, I can improve my alchemy skills. Actually, this improvement is also to be able to successfully refine the star sky pill. Big Sister Gu answered with a smile. So that's how it is. Shaolin Yu said in understanding. I also have no other choice. With my talent and perception, even if I can reach the realm of changing the stars, I don't know how many years it will take. After all, I'm only at the middle stage of the astral realm. Big Sister Gu said with a calm expression, I can't wait that many years. That's why I set my sights on the star sky pill. With the recipe, the next step is to gather the ingredients listed on it. Shaolin Yu said. After all, I can be considered an alchemy expert. Even if I haven't seen the star sky pill recipe before, I can guess most of the ingredients and have already prepared them. I've already looked through it. Right now, as long as I find 12 more ingredients, I can start refining the star sky pill. Moreover, among these 12 ingredients, only 2 are relatively rare. Although the other 10 are precious, we can still afford them. Big Sister Gu shook her head and said, preparing the ingredients isn't too difficult. The key is that refining the star sky pill requires an extremely high-quality alchemy furnace. A high-quality alchemy furnace can increase the success rate by 20%. Moreover, just having a high-quality alchemy furnace isn't enough. It also requires an extremely powerful true fire. The astral realm expert's brilliant star fire is simply not enough. It seems that finding the recipe is only the beginning. There are still many preparations and plans that need to be made. Shaolin Yu said. The girls, who were originally listening attentively, instantly lost interest and looked rather disappointed. We've already waited for millions and millions of years. It doesn't matter if we wait a little longer. With little sister Linger cooperating with me, in the future, we'll be able to get anything. Big Sister Gu said with a confident smile. In the next few decades, Big Sister Gu quickly recovered from her heavy injuries to her peak condition with the help of a cup of light green liquid provided by Shaolin Yu. She originally wanted to take Linger on another treasure hunt, but Shaolin Yu stopped her. Before you leave, help us take care of a problem. After saying this, Shaolin Yu brought Big Sister Gu and Linger to a place where there were profound diagrams and magic arrays. She let the two of them meet the 2 balls of flames. Even Big Sister Gu couldn't catch up to the 2 balls of flames without any preparation. They should be formed from 2 different types of fire spirits. The strange thing is, they clearly have two different attributes. Why are they always moving together? Big Sister Gu asked suspiciously. Maybe they were only attracted by the magic arrays and diagrams. They weren't always together, Shaolin Yu replied. If it's like what you said, then these two balls of fire spirits aren't that rare. It's just that one of them has the pure yang attribute and the other has the pure moon attribute. There are many such fire spirits in the world of immortals. These two balls of fire spirits are only in the nirvana realm. They aren't that useful. However, I keep feeling that they're together. Moreover, they're obviously only in the nirvana realm, but their speed is so fast that even I can't catch up to them. They're obviously not ordinary fire spirits, Big Sister Gu analyzed with a frown. It doesn't matter what kind of fire spirits they are. What's important is how to expel or destroy them. Otherwise, if they're here, I'll have to come out from time to time to set up the diagrams and magic arrays. It's really troublesome, Shaolin Yu said. It's easy to deal with them. Let Linger hide near the diagrams and magic arrays. When they get close, Linger will suddenly attack and trap them with the nebula fog. Then, we'll attack. We'll definitely be able to capture or kill them, Big Sister Gu said casually. I think so too, Shaolin Yu agreed. Following the plan, Linger hid near the diagrams while Shaolin Yu and Big Sister Gu hid far away in a pitch-black cave. After waiting for less than 2 years, the two balls of strange flames flew over together from a tunnel. Looking at the way the two balls of flames flew together, they looked like a pair of brothers. It didn't look like they came from two different places. It looked more like they were traveling together. Of the two balls of black and white flames, the black one flew above the diagrams while the white one flew into the magic array. They were actually wantonly absorbing the energy gathered by the diagrams and magic arrays. Their bodies kept trembling as if they were enjoying it very much. They didn't notice Linger. After waiting for almost 4 hours, Linger suddenly appeared. She didn't attack the two balls of flames. Instead, she suddenly opened her arms and a thick nebula fog instantly filled the surrounding space. Attack! Big Sister Gu shouted softly and flew into the nebula fog. Shaolin Yu followed behind. Although the nebula fog greatly restricted his divine telekinesis, the two balls of flames were too obvious in the nebula fog. He and Big Sister Gu could easily lock onto their targets. After the two balls of flames were suddenly enveloped by the nebula fog, they appeared to be very flustered. They immediately left the diagrams and magic arrays. However, they couldn't find the cave through the thick nebula fog. They couldn't even see the shadow of the cave. They were like headless flies, running around randomly in the nebula fog. Naturally, it was very difficult for them to enter the cave. Big Sister Gu rushed towards the black fire spirit while Shaolin Yu rushed towards the white fire spirit. The two of them instantly arrived in front of their targets. Big Sister Gu waved her sleeves and shot out a brilliant star fire to surround the black fire spirit while Shaolin Yu used his golden chaotic nirvana true fire to trap the white fire spirit. Just as Big Sister Gu and Shaolin Yu respectively cast restrictions and prepared to trap their respective targets, the two balls of flames with different colors and attributes actually exploded at the same time after a huge tremor. After the two balls of fire spirits exploded, they turned into countless sparks and scattered. However, they then gathered together. Furthermore, it was a gathering of black and white flames, not a gathering of a single color. They're really together. Big Sister Gu narrowed her eyes. She quickly made her move, sending a series of seals in her starlight extreme fire into the black and white flames that had gathered together. Whoosh! After the black and white flames gathered together, their power immediately increased tremendously. A ferocious aura swept out in an instant and directly pushed Shaolin Yu, Big Sister Gu, and Linger far away. Although they gathered together, the black and white flames seemed to be very timid. After circling for a moment, they aimed at a cave and quickly flew away. They escaped again. Shaolin Yu said gloomily. They won't be able to escape. I've planted a forbidden spell on them. Even if they become much more powerful after merging into one, they won't be able to completely remove the forbidden spell in a short period of time. As Big Sister Goo spoke, she closed her eyes and sensed for a while. Then, she opened her eyes and said, "Follow me." Chapter 833. At this moment, Xiaoling Yu and the other two arrived at the side of an underground river. This underground river was nearly 1,000 feet wide. The current was not very rapid, but it looked like the river was very deep. There were even large balls of magma floating in it. The river water gurgled, and steam rose from the place where there was a large pool of magma. The moon and yang energies here are very rich. The two energies seem to be surging up from here and overflowing into the hot spring mountain range. Big Sister Goo was also very cautious. She led Xiaoling Yu and Linger downstream and said, "The two energies are clearly coming up from downstream. The two strange fire spirits have already gone downstream. Other than the moon and yang energies, I feel that there is an obviously very strong and abnormal energy fluctuation downstream. There might be danger ahead. Why don't I go ahead and scout ahead?" Linger said. "All right, you have to be careful. If you feel that something is wrong, immediately turn back." Big Sister Goo nodded and said. Linger immediately sped up and hid herself at the same time. After an hour, Linger returned. After she revealed herself, she frowned and said, "There is no danger ahead, but the scene looks very frightening." Under Linger's lead, everyone sped up and rushed along the underground river. Not long after, everyone arrived in front of an abyss. The abyss was the end of the underground river. The underground river continued to move forward and flowed straight down, forming a rumbling waterfall. Standing on the riverbank at the end of the underground river and looking down into the abyss, one could see that the abyss was only a few thousand feet high. At the bottom of the abyss was a surging river of magma. Looking down from above, the entire river of magma looked like a fiery red dragon. After taking a closer look, Xiaoling Yu and Big Sister Goo felt their scalps go numb. In this part of the river of magma, there was a huge corpse lying horizontally. The corpse was humanoid, but it was over 10,000 feet long and nearly 3,000 feet wide. Its entire body was wrapped in a tattered black iron armor, and it was stuck in the magma river. Its entire body was suffused with white and black light. As for the black and white fire spirits, they were currently circling around the body of the 1,000 feet tall giant corpse with a reluctant look. From time to time, powerful demonic beasts would emerge from the lava river. They would open their bloody mouths to chew on the corpse. However, when they bit down, not to mention tearing off a piece of flesh, they couldn't even harm the corpse at all. As for the black and white fire spirits, they continuously surrounded the 1,000 feet tall giant corpse and chased away the demonic beasts in the lava river. No wonder Linger said that the scene here was a little frightening. "He was probably an extremely powerful expert when he was alive," said Big Sister Goo. "The black and white fire spirits should be his primordial fire when he was alive. Because he died too long ago, the primordial fire's power has decreased too much," said Xiaoling Yu. "No wonder the fire spirits were so fast. Moreover, the power that exploded out the moment they merged was terrifying," said Linger with a nod. "What should we do now?" asked Xiaoling Yu. "We can take away his remains, but leave his corpse here," said Big Sister Goo with a calm expression. Xiaoling Yu knew that Big Sister Goo didn't want to touch the corpse out of respect for the strong and the dead. The fire spirits will definitely not run away again. As Linger spoke, she jumped down to the bottom of the abyss and hid halfway. When Linger appeared again, she was already at the bottom of the abyss. Boundless nebula fog instantly spread out and completely enveloped the section of the river where the corpse was. The black and white fire spirits were anxious. Although they rushed out of the nebula fog again and again, they rushed back in without hesitation. "Let's go down too." With that, Big Sister Goo also floated down. Xiaoling Yu followed closely behind Big Sister Goo. After a while, the two of them also entered the nebula fog. Under the cover of the nebula fog, Xiaoling Yu and the other two continuously attacked the black and white fire spirits. The black and white fire spirits were obviously too anxious. They kept attacking in the nebula fog. Unfortunately, under Linger's intentional control, the thick nebula fog kept surging around them, causing them to completely lose their sense of direction. They couldn't see their target clearly and could only charge around randomly without causing any damage. After attacking for a while, Big Sister Gu took out special materials and began to set up a formation around them. Xiaoling Yu cooperated with her to set up restrictions. After 100 breaths of time, Big Sister Gu and Xiaoling Yu worked together to set up an extremely powerful restriction formation. With the help of Linger's nebula fog, the black and white fire spirits were not only trapped, but their range of movement was also becoming narrower and narrower. After the restriction formation started to work, Big Sister Gu went to one of the huge corpse's palms and said calmly, "His storage ring is still here." There was a ring on the ring finger of this palm. The ring's design was simple and simple. It should be an extremely high-quality storage treasure. Xiaoling Yu didn't move. Big Sister Gu released her power and soul power into the ring. The ring then released a burst of starlight energy that enveloped Big Sister Gu. After 20 breaths of time, the ring suddenly trembled and automatically fell off the ring finger of the palm. It flew into Big Sister Gu's finger. Now that the storage treasure was in their hands, all that was left was to deal with the black and white fire spirits. The black and white fire spirits were already trapped by the restriction formation. Big Sister Gu frowned and said, "This fire spirit is the fusion of two primordial fires. It's only suitable for you. Among us, only you can refine it. Fortunately, it's a fire spirit and not a real primordial fire. Otherwise, it could easily kill us with just this primordial fire." Xiaoling Yu nodded and said, "Let's trap it for a while first to wear down its temper. When it's desperate and docile, it should be much easier to refine." Big Sister Gu didn't raise any objections. The three of them continued to use their techniques to trap and attack the black and white fire spirits. Big Sister Gu also started to check the collection in the storage ring. "These stones should be useful to you." Big Sister Gu handed a storage bag to Xiaoling Yu. Xiaoling Yu used her divine will to take a look. She was stunned. "These are all primal chaos origin stones," Xiaoling Yu said in surprise. There were countless gray stones in the storage bag. They contained extremely rich primal chaos origin force. "They're primal chaos heavenly crystals," Big Sister Gu corrected. "They are indeed useful to me. However, with so many primal chaos heavenly crystals, it's enough to prove that this expert was probably a primal chaos cultivator like me when he was alive," Xiaoling Yu said calmly. "Ha, that's not important. What's important is that these primal chaos heavenly crystals are indeed very useful to you." Big Sister Gu smiled and said, "He really has a lot of collection. However, there aren't any finished products. There are only a lot of high-quality materials. One of them is an important material that I lack to refine the Star Dome pill. In this way, among the materials needed to refine the Star Dome pill, there's only one rarer material that I haven't obtained yet." Big Sister Gu only needed the materials to refine the Star Dome pill. Therefore, she transferred most of the materials in the storage ring to Xiaoling Yu. As for the storage ring, although it was obviously of a very high grade, it was only a storage Dharma treasure. Everyone was not lacking in storage Dharma treasures, so Big Sister Gu did not give it to Xiaoling Yu. Xiaoling Yu then checked the materials one by one. However, he did not find anything that he needed. More than a month passed like this. The sealed black and white fire spirits appeared to be very weak. They were already floating in the restriction array and were motionless. "It's time." Xiaoling Yu released his primal chaos nirvana true fire and wrapped it around the black and white fire spirits. His blood essence, soul essence, and primal chaos origin force continuously seeped into the restriction array and began to refine the fire spirits. Perhaps it was because it was already too weak, or perhaps it felt that the aura of Xiaoling Yu's primal chaos nirvana true fire was more intimate. The black and white fire spirits did not resist the refinement. They even intended to cooperate and fuse with the primal chaos nirvana true fire. The refinement was completed in less than 10 days. The black and white fire spirits fused with the primal chaos nirvana true fire, causing the golden primal chaos nirvana true fire to turn into a dark gray color. However, what Shaolin Yu did not expect was that as soon as he put away the primal chaos nirvana true fire and Big Sister Gu removed the restriction array, a demonic beast with a huge body and a fierce aura rushed over from the upper reaches of the lava river. This was nothing. The most important thing was that when the demonic beast got close, it bit off one of the huge corpse's palms and started to chew. A foodie? Linger frowned and said. The demonic beast looked like a large pangolin. However, there were scales on its back. There were also 7 strange light spots on the scales. The sides of its back were covered with fur. Who else could it be but a foodie? As the foodie chewed, it raised its head to look at Shaolin Yu and the others. When its gaze swept over Shaolin Yu, it was immediately stunned and its mouth stopped moving. However, the foodie was only stunned for a moment. Then, as if it did not recognize Shaolin Yu and the others, it began to chew on the huge corpse again. You know this guy? Big Sister Gu asked. I do. Before I ascended to the world of immortals, it had always been with me. It was my most capable helper. Shaolin Yu nodded and said. Ascending to immortality will indeed cause people to be separated. However, it doesn't seem to be excited to see you, its master. Big Sister Gu was puzzled. There is a story between us. It once almost killed me in a sealed place. Shaolin Yu said. Betrayed its master? Then you should be able to destroy it with a thought. Big Sister Gu was still very confused. Shaolin Yu could only laugh bitterly. It really does live up to its name. A foodie. Big Sister Gu frowned and said as she watched the foodie quickly devouring the huge corpse. It did not seem to be satisfied at all. Perhaps it felt uncomfortable with someone watching it, or perhaps it could not eat anymore. The foodie opened its mouth and swallowed the rest of the corpse into its stomach. Then, it ran directly along the river of lava. However, after running a few hundred feet, it turned back to look at Shaolin Yu. Chapter 834. The foodie turned around and Shaolin Yu waved her hand. Both of them had a deeper meaning. However, not only Big Sister Gu, but even Linger, who had followed Shaolin Yu for many years, did not understand. The reluctance to turn around and the helplessness to wave her hand, since it's no longer your battle pet and has tried to harm you, you should kill it. That fellow has an extraordinary physique and will become a great person sooner or later. If you don't kill it now, I'm afraid you won't be able to kill it in the future even if you want to. If it fights with you and doesn't care about your past relationship, it will be a huge problem. Big Sister Gu reminded her kindly, just like Emperor Yan's reminder. It wanted to kill me back then because it was blinded. Shaolin Yu shook her head and said. Now that it's awake, it should return to your side, Big Sister Gu said matter-of-factly. But I suspect it. I suspect that it's a chess piece that someone placed beside me to ensure that it can be killed at any time. That's why I'm worried, Shaolin Yu said honestly. Big Sister Gu frowned and said, isn't that a little too unreliable? It looks like a type of heavenly star beast, but it's obviously much more noble than ordinary heavenly star beasts. Look at its powerful devouring and digestive abilities, and it seems to have a chaotic aura around it. It might be a type of heavenly demon, and not an ordinary one. This kind of tyrannical existence is nurtured by the heavens and earth through countless years of accumulation of luck. Who can use it? I'm not sure either. In any case, it used to be very loyal to me. That time, it suddenly lost its mind and tried to kill me. It made me feel that it was by my side and I couldn't be at ease. However, I don't have enough evidence to prove my guess, so I could only give it back its freedom and let it go out alone, Shaolin Yu said helplessly. I hope you won't become enemies in the future. Let's go back. With this matter settled, Big Sister Gu immediately flew towards the cave where Shaolin Yu and her family were. After returning to the cave, Big Sister Gu said to Shaolin Yu, with the help of the fire spirit, your primordial fire will increase very quickly and become very powerful. You might even be able to satisfy the primordial fire needed to refine the Star Vault pill. It would be great if that's the case. Shaolin Yu nodded. Big Sister Gu then brought Linger out. This time, they went out to search for treasures, purchase the remaining materials to refine the Star Dome pill, and help Linger find a chance to advance. Without the disturbance of the fire spirit, the cave was naturally even quieter. The profound array diagrams and arrays were constantly gathering the moonlight attribute energy from the large area to help everyone speed up their cultivation. Just as Big Sister Gu had said, with the help of the fire spirit, Shaolin Yu's refining speed of the primal chaotic nirvana true fire had increased by a lot. Moreover, this increase was not only an increase in quantity, but also in quality. The improvement of the primal chaotic nirvana true fire allowed Shaolin Yu to absorb the primal chaotic origin force from the primal chaotic heavenly crystal into his body. The speed of refining it had also increased by a lot. The nirvana true fire was too important to a nirvana realm cultivator. As long as the nirvana true fire continued to increase, the cultivator's strength would also increase smoothly. Shaolin Yu's primal chaotic nirvana true fire finally no longer turned from silver to gold like ordinary nirvana true fire. Instead, it directly turned into a gray chaotic color. It probably would not change again in the future. With the help of the fire spirit, Shaolin Yu wholeheartedly improved the primal chaotic nirvana true fire by a large margin. After that, he used the improved primal chaotic nirvana true fire to refine his body. Similarly, he did not prepare any other materials. However, he did not dare to use the light green liquid mist to ensure that his body would not be destroyed. Instead, he continuously drank the light green liquid in large mouthfuls during the process of refining his body. After the light green liquid entered his body, it immediately turned into a cool and strange energy that protected and nourished Shaolin Yu's entire body. At the same time, it strengthened his life force. After the refinement of his body, the toughness and strength of his body were no longer weaker than ordinary extreme star realm experts. After all, his primal chaotic nirvana true fire was no weaker than ordinary brilliant star fire. The nirvana true fire was comparable to the brilliant star fire. This was something that ordinary nirvana realm cultivators did not even dare to think about. However, what surprised Shaolin Yu was that he did not know whether it was because the huge corpse had been swallowed by the foodie, or because the black and white fire spirits had been captured by him, or because of other reasons. The hot spring mountain range no longer had the moon and sun energy surging out at all times. Instead, there was only yang energy during the day and moon energy at night. This caused the cultivation speed of Shaolin Yu's family to drop by a lot. However, because his family was too rich and had endless cultivation resources, their cultivation speed had already far surpassed ordinary cultivators. Every one of them could be considered a peerless genius in the outside world. They did not really care about how high their cultivation was. Linger and Big Sister Gu did not go out for long this time and returned. Apart from bringing back a large amount of treasures as usual, they also brought back a piece of news. The Star Pavilion, Sword Pavilion, Ocean Pavilion, and Thunder Pavilion, the four peak powers of the realm of immortals, had organized countless large and small forces to prepare to build the grandest city in the realm of immortals between the demonic abyss and the heavenly star forest. As long as one was a cultivator of the realm of immortals and above, one could live in the city. In order to attract experts to live in the city for a long time, the four peak powers simultaneously promised that even if there were experts who had enmity with them in the past, as long as they live in the new city for a long time, all of their past enmity will be written off. Moreover, not only are there no fees to live in the new city for a long time, the cultivators can also go to the city lord's mansion to receive a certain amount of subsidies according to their cultivation and the length of time they live in the new city. Big Sister Gu said. The treatment is that good? There must be something wrong with this, right? Shaolin Yu asked. Actually, I can guess that the reason why they want to build this new city is mainly to attract experts from the Immortals' mainland to live there for a long time and keep an eye on the demonic abyss. The new city is not far from the Heavenly Star Forest. It can also be used as the vanguard to monitor the Heavenly Star Forest. Big Sister Gu said with a smile. Big Sister's meaning is that we should live there for a long time? Shaolin Yu followed up and asked. That's right. Big Sister Gu nodded and said, firstly, We can resolve our enmity with the Southern Star Pavilion and remove the Southern Star Pavilion's pursuit of us. Secondly, the new city will inevitably rise rapidly and become the most prosperous city in the realm of immortals. It will be beneficial for us to cultivate and communicate with other cultivators. Thirdly, it is closer to the Heavenly Star Forest. It will make it much more convenient for us to enter the Heavenly Star Forest. It will also be beneficial for us to find companions and enter the Heavenly Star Forest to hunt Heavenly Star beasts together. The most important thing is, we don't have to wander all over the place anymore. Jiang Wanchang interrupted. The demonic abyss hell, this name doesn't sound like a blessed place. The new city is too close to the demonic abyss hell. Shaolin Yu said noncommittally. The demonic abyss hell is indeed a dangerous place. In the past, there were countless demons living there. However, many years ago, the peak experts of the realm of immortals went down there many times and wiped out all the demons there. Now, only the evil spirits left behind by the demons are still roaming there. Those evil spirits are also quite strong, but for countless years, they didn't dare to come to the surface. There is nothing to be afraid of. Big Sister Gu shook her head and explained. Didn't they say that Senior Xiao Tian brought the lightning spirit to the evil spirit island? He also said that there is a possibility that the evil spirit demon lord will be released. Shaolin Yu still had a worried expression. Let's not talk about whether that damn dog is really as I guessed. Even if it is, it would be extremely difficult to release the evil spirit demon lord. It would take no less than 10 million years. Taking a step back, even if the evil spirit demon lord was released, he probably wouldn't dare to go to a place like the new city where countless Star Realm experts gather. Big Sister Gu said nonchalantly. What's the point of thinking so much? Let's go take a look first. If things really don't go well, we can just go somewhere else. We don't have any good choices right now anyway. Jiang Wanchang said. Seeing that the girls and children were somewhat moved, Shaolin Yu didn't ask any more questions. Big Sister Gu led everyone out of the Hot Spring Mountain range. Then, she took out a round bowl-shaped treasure and flew towards the Heavenly Star Forest. Along the way, Big Sister Gu first introduced everyone to the Star Pavilion, Sea Pavilion, Sword Pavilion, and Thunder Pavilion. Then, she answered everyone's questions. Then, she talked to Shaolin Yu about restriction formations, pill refinement, and tool refinement. Originally, the closer they got to the Heavenly Star Forest, the fewer traces of cultivators they saw. However, as the round bowl-shaped treasure flew, they would always see streaks of light streaking across the sky. It seemed that the news had already spread, and many cultivators were tempted by the benefits of the new city. Even with the round bowl-shaped treasure's extreme speed, it still took them a few thousand years to reach the edge of the Heavenly Star Forest. Then, Big Sister Gu adjusted her direction and flew for close to 20 years before finally stopping in front of a grand city. The periphery of the Heavenly Star Forest didn't look any different from a normal forest. However, this city was very different from a normal city. The city walls weren't tall, but the entire city was surrounded by clouds and mist. If one looked closely, they would discover that the city wasn't in contact with the ground. There were clouds and mist several hundred feet in the middle. It looked like these clouds and mist were holding up the entire city. However, everyone could see with a glance that there was an extremely powerful restriction formation set up between the city and the ground. The reason why the city was able to stay in the air forever wasn't because of the clouds and mist, but because of the restriction formation's power. Looking at the city gate on this side, it was also a tall and wide restriction light gate. There were 2 rows of experts guarding it. Those 2 rows of experts all had cultivations above the Qi realm. On the armchair closest to the restriction light gate, there seemed to be an extreme astral realm expert sitting there. The cultivators who wanted to enter the city formed a long line. Before every cultivator entered the city, they had to say a few words to the old man on the armchair. Then, the old man would make some records. Looking up at the stone plaque above the city gate, there were the 2 words New City. It seemed that this city's name was New City. It was very simple and very appropriate. Chapter 835. Big Sister Gu didn't receive the news too early. Although there were still many empty spaces in the new city, they were all relatively remote. Luckily, Shaolin Yu's family liked peace and quiet, so they didn't mind staying in a secluded place. In a corner less than 1,000 feet away from the city wall in the northern part of the city, Shaolin Yu chose a relatively spacious space and prepared to build her home there. However, she soon learned that because there were too many cultivators from the longevity realm coming to the city, cultivators above the 9th celestial layer and nirvana realm cultivators could obtain free land use rights to a radius of 10 feet, while extreme star realm cultivators could only obtain a radius of 20 feet. It was obvious that even if they accumulated all the available land, there wasn't much space. It was only enough to build a small courtyard. Moreover, Shaolin Yu's 6 children hadn't reached the nirvana realm. Not only could they not obtain free land, but they also weren't qualified to live in the new city. If they wanted the 6 children to live in the city, they had to pay a fee to the city lord mansion. However, this fee was insignificant to Shaolin Yu's family. As long as the children reached the physical puppet realm, they didn't have to pay any more. Shaolin Yu didn't have any objections to this. If you want a larger area of land, you can also purchase it here. You only need to pay 200,000 yang crystals for a radius of 10 feet, said a deacon of the city lord mansion. We want all of this land. Fellow Taoist, please calculate how many yang crystals we need. Shaolin Yu pointed at the map on the long wooden table in front of her. Isn't this too much? The deacon was surprised. Can't we buy that much? Jiang Lanchang asked. There is a rule. Nirvana realm cultivators can only buy a radius of 10 feet at most. Extreme star realm cultivators can buy a radius of 100 feet at most. Beyond this limit, the price will double for every additional 100 feet. Fellow Taoist, you don't have to explain so much to us. As long as we can buy it, you only need to give us a price. Big Sister Gu waved her hand and said. Wait a moment, let me calculate. The deacon first calculated the size of the area marked by Shaolin Yu, and then did some calculations and said, the total cost is 380 million yang crystals. After saying this number, even the deacon who was at the nascent nirvana realm felt like this number was too big. However, Big Sister Gu casually threw a storage bag on the table and said generously, there are 400 million yang crystals in here. Fellow Taoist, please hurry up with the procedures. The remaining 20 million will be a reward for your hard work. The attendant sank his consciousness into his storage pouch to count the amount. After a while, he said, how could I accept senior's payment? Although he said he was embarrassed, he had already put away the storage pouch. He was still praising in his heart, an extreme star realm expert is indeed extraordinary. However, this deacon was able to obtain 20 million yang crystals all of a sudden, so he was very efficient. It only took him half an hour to run around the city lord's mansion, and when he returned, he handed a stack of array flags and a palm-sized jade token to Big Sister Gu. After you've finished building the courtyard, place these array flags in a circle along the courtyard walls and use them in the protective array you've set up. Once your courtyard is under attack, they will send out an alarm. At that time, experts from the city guards will come to help. The deacon then pointed at the jade token and said, this jade token is the evaluation report of your ownership of that piece of land. You must take good care of it and don't lose it. If you want to sell your house in the future, you'll have to bring it to the Castellan's mansion to report the transaction. Thank you. Big Sister Gu said politely and then led everyone out of the city lord's mansion. The city lord's mansion was the administrative office of the new city, but it didn't occupy a large area. Moreover, the cultivators who worked there were more enthusiastic and polite. Of course, this might be because the new city had just been built. It might not be like this in the future. They said that we can live in the new city for free, but in fact, if cultivators want to live in a more spacious place, they still have to pay for it. It's difficult to even build a house in the small space they gave us. After walking out of the city lord's mansion, Miaoling said unhappily. Although they were rich, taking out 400 million yang crystals all at once really made them feel a little pained. Free is just a gimmick. For our new home to be more spacious and comfortable, it's worth it to spend more yang crystals. You should know that the land we bought is bigger than the city lord's mansion. Big Sister Gu said with a smile. This land is so expensive. Of course, they want to sell it instead of keeping it for themselves. Jiang Wanchang added. Although they spent a lot of yang crystals, which made everyone unhappy, when they arrived at the land in the northern part of the city that already belonged to them, they cast spells and built their courtyards and houses vigorously. In only 4 hours, a large courtyard that was more than 1,000 feet long and wide rose from the ground. The construction was very grand and magnificent. From the outside, it didn't look like much. One could only see the high walls and the courtyard. If one entered the courtyard to take a closer look, ordinary cultivators would be shocked beyond words. Linger and Big Sister Gu had been to countless places where treasures were hidden. Most of them were cave abodes left behind by powerful cultivators. The treasures left behind in those cave abodes were now either placed in the courtyard or in the hall. In particular, there were all kinds of extremely high-grade and even rare exotic flowers and herbs. They covered every corner of the courtyard, making the entire courtyard luxurious and full of vitality. In any case, Xiao Lingyu's family, whether it was his wife or his children, were extremely satisfied with their new home. At this moment, they were decorating every corner of the courtyard and every room. It could be said that they were really busy and bustling with activity. We finally have a stable home. Looking at the busy figures of his wives and the scene of his children shouting and chasing each other in the courtyard, Xiao Lingyu was very gratified. However, he also knew that this home was not obtained through his own efforts. It was the credit of Linger and Big Sister Gu. The new city was the same as Xiao Lingyu's courtyard. It was still in the period of construction and appeared to be very lively. There was an endless stream of cultivators from the longevity realm coming over. Everyone was complaining that the city lord's mansion was too small. They were also envious and jealous of the large courtyards. There were also many cultivators who had already bought a lot of land. They were doing business and making a lot of money. After all, with the passage of time, it wouldn't be long before even people with rich families could not buy a piece of land, let alone a more ideal piece of land. Xiao Lingyu's family had enough yang crystals to buy a large piece of land and then sell it at a high price to earn yang crystals. However, their family's wealth was enough for them to squander freely. They were too lazy to waste time on business. However, what Xiao Lingyu's family did not expect was that perhaps because their courtyard was too grand and magnificent, many cultivators in the city thought that they were from a rich and powerful family. Therefore, less than 3 days after their courtyard was built, cultivators came to visit them one after another. It was naturally a good thing to have guests. Although everyone just wanted to live a peaceful life, since they wanted to take root in this new city, it was not good to offend the neighbors. Therefore, Xiao Lingyu politely invited the guests into the courtyard and entertained them in a living room. When the guests saw the luxurious style of the courtyard, they were even more certain that this was a rich and powerful family. Otherwise, they would not be able to afford this. After exchanging a few words with Xiao Lingyu, they unabashedly expressed their desire to join the Xiao family. Ordinary rogue cultivators wanted to find a backer and rely on a force. It was very normal in the cultivation world. However, Xiao Lingyu, who had no intention of forming a force, could only warmly entertain them and politely send them out of the Xiao family's courtyard. After one or a few of them were sent away, it would not be long before more cultivators came. Xiao Lingyu could only bitterly smile and say, "A tall tree attracts the wind. Do I have to put up a sign at the entrance of my courtyard that I am not seeing any guests?" Big Sister Gu first pondered and then said, "That's not necessary. In my opinion, you should accept them. As the saying goes, a good man has 3 helpers. The more people there are, the more strength there is. At least you don't have to personally deal with trivial matters." However, Xiao Lingyu said, "The more cultivators there are, the more expenses there will be. We will have to worry about all aspects and will disturb the peace of my family." Big Sister Gu shook her head and said, "You don't have to worry about expenses at all. Even if we don't do any business, we can still support ourselves for a long time. As for disturbing the peace, that's even easier. We can buy a smaller piece of land for the cultivators there. This way, they won't be able to disturb the peace here. Actually, you don't have to worry too much. After all, we are not top experts, and we are not forming a top force. We just need a group of loyal and strong cultivators to form a battle group. Xiaoling Yu smiled and said, "My family will be the strongest battle group after a while. Moreover, we don't have to worry about loyalty." Big Sister Gu asked, "Are you willing to let your wife and children go out and fight?" Xiaoling Yu replied, "They don't have to go out and fight." Big Sister Gu still shook her head and said, "If they rely on you alone, not only will it be difficult, it will also be dangerous. If something happens to you, how are they going to live in the future? You have to think about this. If you want to advance to the extreme astral realm, you have to go to the heavenly star forest to hunt for heavenly star beasts. You can't completely rely on using yang crystals to buy them or rely on the legendary extreme astral pill. If you don't want your wife and children to follow you to the heavenly star forest and risk their lives, then it's better to train some reliable helpers. If you want true peace, then wait until your wife and children have all advanced to the extreme astral realm before you consider it." Xiaoling Yu felt that Big Sister Gu's words were reasonable. However, he really couldn't be bothered to organize a battle group. This would delay his cultivation. He was confident that as long as he could cultivate to the extreme astral realm, he would have the ability to solve all the problems this family encountered. Chapter 836. Xiaoling Yu discussed with his wives again. Anya and the others didn't seem to care about whether or not they should form a small force. They expressed their disinterest. "No matter what decision you make, we'll support you." To put it bluntly, what his wives meant was, "You decide for yourself." Xiaoling Yu finally understood the helplessness and depression of being the head of a family. After thinking about it carefully, Xiaoling Yu had a plan. He felt that he should indeed form a force. Right now, Worryless mainly relied on Big Sister Gu and the Howling Celestial Dog. However, these two astral realm experts weren't very close to him, so they couldn't always follow him. Once they left, his family definitely wouldn't be as comfortable as they were now. The Howling Celestial Dog had clearly stated that once it completed its mission, it would go to the Ancient Star Road to find its original owner. Although Big Sister Gu didn't say it clearly, Xiaoling Yu could guess that if she refined and consumed the Star Sky Pill, she would most likely go to the Ancient Star Road to find her husband after reaching the star-shifting realm. Thus, Xiaoling Yu discussed with Myling again. "You can decide on this matter. If you need me, I won't refuse," Myling said sincerely. "With our current level, we definitely can't recruit astral realm experts. However, even if astral realm experts want to join, we wouldn't dare to accept them. Thus, I feel that we should recruit more cultivators above the Nirvana Soul realm. We don't need too many, just enough to form a large group," Xiaoling Yu said. "Actually, rather than recruiting a few stragglers and slowly getting used to each other, why don't we just recruit a large group that has been working together for many years? This way, we can save a lot of trouble and effort," Myling suggested. "Then let's walk around the city and see if we can find suitable ones," Xiaoling Yu nodded. In the next few days, Xiaoling Yu first set up the profound diagrams and formations at the cultivation areas of his family and friends to speed up their cultivation. Then, he left the courtyard with Myling and wandered around the new city. He didn't find any suitable targets, but Xiaoling Yu received a piece of news. The Star Pavilion, Sword Pavilion, Ocean Pavilion, and Thunder Pavilion were preparing to jointly hold a grand auction in the new city. This would strengthen the communication between cultivators, and at the same time, promote the new city. The news of the auction had already spread throughout the new city. Under the joint operation of the four peak forces, the news would quickly spread throughout the world of immortals. For the sake of being able to gather even more experts to attend the auction this time, the four great powers had naturally taken out numerous precious and rare treasures. Amongst the known treasures, an astral extreme realm heavenly star beast's life pearl had already caused all the rebirth realm cultivators in the city to covet it to the extreme, not to mention those various precious materials, medicinal pills, and magic treasures of extremely high quality and extraordinary effects. In addition to the large amount of treasures taken out by the 4 peak forces, some small and medium forces and loose cultivators also took out their private stashes. Among them, there were many high-grade goods. In order to promote the auction organizers would intentionally or unintentionally reveal some information about the high-grade treasures that would be auctioned, causing everyone to be incomparably excited. Xiaoling Yu also brought the news home, but only Big Sister Gu cared about it. Xiaoling Yu's family and friends didn't have the slightest interest in this auction. Just in time, we can take out some treasures that are useless to us and auction them off. We should be able to exchange them for a large amount of yang crystals. Although we don't have much use for yang crystals, it would be a waste to leave those treasures at home, Big Sister Gu said. The key is, with more yang crystals, we can also snatch some treasures that are useful to us at the auction. For example, the Heavenly Star Beast's Life Pearl. Xiaoling Yu nodded in agreement. Immediately, Big Sister Gu and Ling counted the treasures that they had obtained over the years and took out the treasures that were useless to everyone. After counting, Big Sister Gu took the treasures to the Castellan's mansion. After waiting for nearly 2 months, Big Sister Gu finally returned. She smiled and said to everyone, "The Castellan's treasure appraiser was exhausted by the treasures that I brought." At first, he was pleasantly surprised when he saw so many treasures, but when I took out batch after batch of treasures and placed them in front of him for him to appraise and evaluate, he almost vomited blood. The hall was filled with laughter. Anya asked, "With so many treasures, how many yang crystals can we earn?" Big Sister Gu sat down and drank a mouthful of fragrant tea. She said, "The treasure appraiser calculated the base price of the auction. Even if we sell all of them at the base price, we can still earn nearly 1 trillion yang crystals. Moreover, it's impossible to sell all of them at the base price. Many of the treasures in the auction are sold for double or even multiple times the price." The Castellan's treasure appraiser even said that we can actually hold a grand auction ourselves. According to the rules of this auction, after the treasures are evaluated, the organizer of the auction will pay 30% of the base price to the host in advance. After the auction, the remaining amount will be deducted. However, the total price of the treasures we brought this time is too high. The Castellan's mansion can't come up with so many yang crystals in such a short time, so they only gave us 50 billion yang crystals. How much is 50 billion? Jiang Lanchang was stunned. A lot. Piling them up can fill up a big lake. Placing them on a plain can create a continuous mountain range, Big Sister Gu said vividly. We're rich. Jiang Lanchang clapped his hands repeatedly, looking like a money grubber. However, in order to maximize the effect of the auction would only start more than 3,000 years later. After all, many experts were too far away from the new city. Even if they rushed over immediately after receiving the news, they would not be able to arrive in such a short time. With nothing to do, Xiaoling Yu and Meiling continued to look for suitable targets in the new city. When the treasures were put up for auction, they would receive 30% of the base price. With so many cultivators putting up their treasures for auction, even if the 4 top forces were extremely rich, they were gradually overwhelmed. After all, they had countless disciples and needed a lot of yang crystals to maintain a large force. The amount of yang crystals they could take out was not a lot, and it was impossible for them to put more than half of them into an auction. In order for the auction to proceed smoothly, the 4 top forces began to borrow money. What Xiaoling Yu did not expect was that they would come to her house first. Big Sister Gu was very generous. She directly lent the 50 billion yang crystals to the City Lord's mansion, and the City Lord's mansion promised to return an additional 5 billion yang crystals when the time came. The interest of 10% was not low, but Big Sister Gu did not care about this little interest. She was more concerned about the favor the City Lord's mansion owed her. The City Lord's mansion could not hold on so quickly because the deposit they paid to Big Sister Gu was too high. However, as long as the auction was completed smoothly, they would earn more. With the support of 50 billion yang crystals, the pressure on the City Lord's mansion was greatly reduced. The news of the City Lord's mansion borrowing money from the Shao clan somehow spread. For a time, all the cultivators in the new city were amazed by the Shao clan's financial resources. They did not know that the 50 billion yang crystals that the Shao clan took out were actually from the city lord's mansion. Borrowing money was only one of the ways the city lord's mansion solved the problem. In order to gather more yang crystals to prepare for the auction, they had stopped giving away free land in the new city. Cultivators who wanted to live in the new city would have to buy land from their own pockets. Moreover, the price was much more expensive than before. Cultivators who wanted to come to the new city but came late either complained and gave up on the idea of living in the new city or hardened their hearts to pay for the land. In any case, there were too many cultivators in the immortal realm. Even if most of the cultivators gave up, the small number of cultivators could still fill up the new city. After all, the new city was built by the 4 top forces. There was absolutely no doubt about its safety. In addition, the promise of writing off the past grudges was extremely tempting for many experts who had offended the 4 top forces. Xiaoling Yu and Miling strolled around the streets of the new city. However, the Shao clan was now very famous in the new city. The number of cultivators who came to visit them was like a school of carps crossing a river. However, Miling said that those who took the initiative to visit him were people who wanted to curry favor with the rich and powerful. Thus, he and Xiaoling Yu insisted on trying their luck in the city and left the family to Big Sister Bu to deal with. After searching for nearly 100 years, Xiaoling Yu finally found a suitable target one day. The group of cultivators that had just come out of the city lord's mansion numbered nearly 50. All of them were at the Nirvana realm, and the cultivator in the lead was a true Nirvana realm expert after the Nirvana realm. However, this group of cultivators had very gloomy expressions. They were marching in an orderly manner with their backs facing the city lord's mansion. It was likely that they had run into trouble in the city lord's mansion. The entrance of the city lord's mansion, the streets, and even the entire city was very lively. Everywhere, there was a scene of people waving their sleeves like clouds. Xiaoling Yu followed the group of cultivators without being noticed. Damn it, it's just a piece of land with a radius of less than 300 feet. And they actually want 100 million yang crystals. Why don't they go out and rob? The 4 top forces have joined forces to build the new city into the #1 city in the Immortals' mainland. It's understandable that the value of the land is high. Didn't they say that Nirvana realm cultivators could get a piece of land with a radius of 10 feet? Now, it's gone. We can only blame ourselves for being late. Now that we can't buy a piece of land in the new city, where are we going to settle down? We already have some grudges with the Liu clan, and we just provoked the West Star Pavilion. What are you afraid of? At worst, us brothers will just die together. That's right. Even if we can settle down in the new city, we can't just sit there and eat until we run out. Sooner or later, we will have to go out. Sooner or later, we will have to meet the Liu clan and provoke other forces. Xiaoling Yu followed them patiently and deliberately listened to the group of cultivators who were discussing in hushed whispers. After walking through a few streets, he quickly walked to the front of the group. Everyone, please wait. I have a business to discuss with you. Xiaoling Yu said with a smile. Chapter 837. This group of cultivators was like a mercenary group. They would accept some missions from their employers, but most of the time, they would take the initiative to hunt heavenly star beasts in the heavenly star forest to maintain their cultivation. Now that an employer had come to them, they naturally would not decline. At the very least, they had to understand the difficulty of the mission. If it was really suitable, they would be happy to accept the business. There's a pretty good restaurant in front. It's very spacious, and the food is also very good. I see that everyone is a little tired, so let's go and have a seat. Of course, it's my treat. Xiaoling Yu smiled courteously. Thank you for your kind intentions, fellow Taoist. However, how can we let you spend money on our first meeting? Let them wait outside the city first. The bearded cultivator refused. As the saying went, one would not accept a reward without kindness. They had not even discussed the business yet, so how could they let the employer treat so many cultivators to a meal? Moreover, the other party's hands were short, and the mouth was short. If they really went to eat and drink together, it might affect the negotiation later. Xiaolingyu did not think too much and did not insist. He found a restaurant with the bearded cultivator and asked for a private room on the 3rd floor. They ordered many expensive dishes and wine. Not long after, Miling, who had received the news, rushed over and sat beside Xiaolingyu. When the dishes and wine were all served, Xiaolingyu raised his cup and said, "Come, let's drink 3 cups first." Unexpectedly, the bearded cultivator did not give him face and said, "I don't drink before discussing business. Please forgive me." The bearded cultivator looked rough, but he was very cautious when doing things. Drinking wine also applied to cultivators in the cultivation world. After all, the wine that cultivators drank could not be compared to the wine in the moral world. "I'm Xiaolingyu. May I ask for your name?" Xiaolingyu put down his wine cup. His expression was still very calm, and he did not feel embarrassed. "Lu Jian." The bearded cultivator nodded and replied after greeting him. "I see that Brother Lu is a straightforward person, so I won't beat around the bush." Xiaolingyu paused for a moment and said seriously, "My Xiao family has just established itself in the new city, and we want to recruit some experts to join us. I'm sorry, Xiao Daoyu. We have no intention of guarding any family." Before Xiaolingyu could finish speaking, the bearded Lu Jian spoke up with a very firm attitude. "Fellow Taoist Lu, don't be anxious. I'm not asking you all to guard my Xiao clan's residence. Since you're living in this new city, there will naturally be city guards to guard the residence. I won't do anything unnecessary." Xiaolingyu shook her head and smiled. She continued, "We want to cultivate a team with good teamwork and strong combat power. Our main goal is to go to the Heavenly Star Forest to hunt Heavenly Star beasts in the Extreme Star Realm." Lu Jian frowned and remained silent. Xiaolingyu continued, "For this team, our Xiao family will do our best to nurture them. Not only will we provide them with a generous salary, we will also buy a piece of land in the city for them to live and cultivate." Hearing this, Lu Jian's eyes flickered. He was very clear that it was indeed necessary for them to establish a foothold in the new city. It would be very dangerous for them to continue to wander outside. His brothers didn't need to think too much. Even if they offended a large force, they could just take the attitude that the worst that could happen was death. However, Lu Jian, as everyone's boss, had to consider more. He had to worry about the lives and futures of his brothers. If he wasn't forced, he would never lead them to their deaths. Any cultivator in this team will be valued by our Xiao family. The family doesn't lack yang crystals, so we don't need this team to go out and carry out missions all day long. They will spend more time cultivating. As long as they can break through, the family will do our best to help them break through. Wait. Lu Jian suddenly waved his hand and asked, "With such generous treatment, it will be very easy to recruit Nirvana Realm cultivators. Xiao Daoyu's ambition is not small. You will definitely recruit many cultivators. My brothers have peculiar temperaments. I'm afraid they won't fit in with the group and will cause trouble for Xiao Daoyu." Xiaolingyu shook his head with a smile and said, "Our Xiao family has no intention of becoming a great force like the Star Pavilion. What we want to recruit are brave and loyal brothers, not a motley crew. We only want to create an elite team that is fearless. We will only recruit 100 Nirvana Realm cultivators at most." Lu Jian asked again, "Then this elite team that Xiao Daoyu mentioned, what duties will they have to undertake? Just going to the Heavenly Star Forest to hunt Heavenly Star beasts of the Extreme Star Realm?" Xiaolingyu replied, "Besides hunting Heavenly Star beasts of the Extreme Star Realm, there are no other important tasks. Of course, if our Xiao family is in danger, this elite team will naturally come to our aid." Lu Jian fell silent again. Xiaolingyu pondered for a moment, then added, "Our Xiao family will spare no expense to cultivate this elite team, but this elite team must have 2 characteristics, loyalty and bravery. This is a serious matter. I can't speak for the entire team. Xiao Daoyu, can you allow me to go back and discuss it with my brothers before giving you an answer?" Lu Jian asked. No problem. Xiaoling Yu smiled and raised his cup, saying, "Can fellow Lu drink a few cups now?" Thinking that they might be together in the future, Lu Jian did not refuse. He immediately raised his cup and drank with Xiaoling Yu. After drinking a few cups, Lu Jian did not even touch his chopsticks. He then took his leave. "Do you think they will come?" Xiaoling Yu asked Miling, holding his wine cup. "There is only a 50-50 chance," Miling said. "Oh? Are the conditions we offer not good enough?" Xiaoling Yu asked. Miling shook his head and said, "It's not that the conditions are not good enough. It's just their personalities. They probably don't like to live under someone else's roof. Otherwise, they would have long sought refuge with other big families or factions." Xiaoling Yu commented, "Just now, I followed them for a few streets and found that their discipline is still very strong. Even in this crowded new city, their formation has always been maintained very well. Moreover, there are always people who are on high alert. With such a team, even if everyone's aptitude is ordinary, they definitely have very strong combat power." Miling smiled and praised, From Lu Jian's words and actions just now, it can be seen that his leader is not a mediocre person. He should have a strong stand in principles. He is a strict and steady cultivator. He is trustworthy." Xiaoling Yu said in a relaxed manner, "Let's continue looking. Recently, the new city has been quite lively. There are many cultivators coming and going, and there are also many groups. With our generous treatment, it is not difficult to find a team of 100 people to join." After eating and drinking with Miling, Xiaoling Yu once again squeezed into the crowded streets of the new city. Heaven did not disappoint those who persevered. After searching for nearly 100 years in the city, Miling finally found a group of 56 people. Moreover, after hearing Xiaoling Yu's words, the group leader put on an act and said that he needed 2 days to consider. However, on the third day, he came to the Xiao family early in the morning and promised to bring his brothers to join the Xiao family. The leader of his team was surnamed Yu and named Ran. He looked to be in his early 20s. He was not tall, his body was slightly thin, and his appearance was average. He always had a smile on his face, giving people a mischievous appearance. However, he was a genuine Nirvana realm expert, only a step away from the extreme astral realm. Yu Ran's team members, on the other hand, all of them had calm auras. Each of them had the back of a tiger and the waist of a bear. Their faces were resolute, and they looked quite imposing. The weakest among them had a cultivation base of the body realm. Xiaoling Yu really couldn't understand. With Yu Ran's image, how could you have such a group of subordinates? After asking a few questions, she found out that Yu Ran was the sole successor of a great clan in the world of immortals. However, that great clan had gradually declined in recent years. By Yu Ran's generation, it was already unable to support itself. And these 50 subordinates of his were the only remaining guards of their clan. These guards were carefully cultivated by Yu Ran's father when he was alive. They had all received great kindness from the Yu clan and were incomparably loyal to the Yu clan. Therefore, after Yu Ran's father unexpectedly died, they still followed Yu Ran and never left. Although Yu Ran didn't say it, Xiaoling Yu could guess that this guy was definitely a coward who didn't do his job properly. Otherwise, why would this guy never think of reviving his clan and never think of leading his subordinates to do great things? Instead, he brought so many expert guards to the new city to muddle along. Xiaoling Yu had also heard that Yu Ran didn't have much affection for his subordinates. He was even a little tired of these guards who only listened to his orders and followed him all day long. The reason why he joined the Xiao clan was, on one hand, to prepare to live a comfortable life. On the other hand, he wanted to transfer his expert guards to other clans. Xiaoling Yu could naturally satisfy Yu Ran's 2 wishes. With the Xiao clan's financial resources, they could naturally let Yu Ran live a comfortable life. The Xiao clan was also more than willing to let Yu Ran no longer command these expert guards. However, these more than 50 expert guards were all inflexible. They only recognized Yu Ran and only listened to Yu Ran's orders. Xiaoling Yu had no choice but to let Yu Ran continue to be the leader, which made Yu Ran very depressed. Just like Lu Jian's team, Yuran couldn't buy a piece of land in the new city even after exhausting all the remaining wealth of the Yu clan. However, Yuran didn't have the backbone and courage of Lu Jian. In the face of the generous treatment given by the Shao clan, Yuran was incomparably moved. Even if he had to bring along his expert guards, he still wanted to stay in the Shao clan. In any case, he had already decided to be the leader in name only. His guards would listen to him, and he would listen to the Shao clan. The city lord's mansion still owed the Shao clan a large amount of yang crystals, so it was naturally very easy for Xiaolingyu to purchase a piece of land. He bought a piece of land that was 1/3 the size of the Shao clan's courtyard, and the city lord's mansion didn't even charge him a single yang crystal. Yuran had already heard of the Shao clan's financial resources before receiving the invitation from the Shao clan. This time, Yuran followed Xiaolingyu to the city lord's mansion to choose a piece of land and saw how influential the Shao clan was in the new city, so he was even more proud of his choice. Chapter 838. After waiting for more than 100 years, Lu Jian still didn't come looking for the Shao family. Xiaolingyu and Meiling were practically in despair. Xiaolingyu didn't take Lu Jian's group of cultivators too seriously. Apart from feeling sorry for them, he mainly focused on Yuran's guards. First, he built a courtyard that was connected to the Shao family's courtyard. The buildings inside were based on the wildfire campsite of the Heavenly Realm's butler. Xiaolingyu built a circular stone building in the courtyard. The stone building surrounded a rather large open space. He then set up that open space into a martial arts arena. Then, he invited Big Sister Gu over to reinforce the entire courtyard and the stone building with a restriction formation. It could be said that he had put in a lot of effort. Xiaolingyu didn't care too much about the rest of the arrangements. He let Yuran and his guards do whatever they wanted. The courtyard where the stone building was located was called the Shao family's courtyard, and Yuran's group was called Shao Wei. As the name implied, Shao Wei was the Shao family's guard. Yuran didn't have any objections to this title, but his subordinates weren't willing to accept it. However, those 50 cultivators all took orders from Yuran. If Yuran didn't have any objections, then it was useless for them to have any objections. After settling down these 50 Shao Wei and setting up the Moon Gathering Formation and Yang Gathering Formation in the stone building, this group of Shao Wei could enter a normal state of cultivation. Xiaolingyu finally had some free time. When he returned home, he accompanied his wife and played with his children. His days were incomparably comfortable. What he didn't expect was that less than 10 years after Yuran and Shao Wei settled down, Lu Jian actually suddenly came to visit. After inviting Lu Jian to a reception room, she invited him to take a seat and served him tea. Xiaolingyu smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist Lu, how have you been?" Lu Jian didn't drink the tea. His complexion didn't look good, but his breathing was steady as he said, "Xiao Daoyu, please forgive me for disturbing you this time." Xiaolingyu waved his hand dismissively and said, "You don't have to be so polite, fellow Taoist Lu. My Shao clan welcomes you as a guest at any time." Lu Jian picked up the teacup, but his hands were trembling, which surprised Xiaolingyu. Although the teacup was brought to his mouth 3 times, Lu Jian still did not take a sip. He seemed very hesitant. "What's wrong? Is fellow Taoist Lu in some kind of trouble?" Xiaolingyu asked. "This." Lu Jian stuttered. The last time we met, I didn't think fellow Taoist Lu was such an indecisive person. Today, it seems that this Xiao has misjudged you." Xiaolingyu said to provoke him. "It's really not that I'm indecisive, it's just that it's hard for me to say." Lu Jian shook his head and smiled bitterly. "If you have something to say, you might as well say it. Maybe I can really help fellow Taoist Lu." Xiaolingyu's words seemed very straightforward and generous, but he didn't say anything definite. Instead, he used the word maybe. "In that case, I won't waste Xiao Daoyu's time. This time, I came to borrow some yang crystals from Xiao Daoyu." Lu Jian took a deep breath and explained. "Oh." Xiaolingyu responded indifferently, but his brows furrowed. "This one knows that Xiao Daoyu and I are neither relatives nor friends." We've only met once. Last time, I even refused Xiao Daoyu's kind invitation. Xiao Daoyu has no reason to trust me and lend me yang crystals. But right now, I really need some yang crystals, so I'm thick-skinned enough to ask. When Lu Jian said this, his dispirited expression was not hidden by the large beard on his cheeks. He really did look a bit sad and helpless. How many yang crystals does fellow Taoist Lu want to borrow? Xiaoling Yu tapped his fingers on the table and asked. 200 million yang crystals. Lu Jian lowered his head and said. 200 million yang crystals is not a small amount. May I ask what fellow Taoist wants to borrow so many yang crystals for? Xiaoling Yu asked indifferently. To save lives. I have more than 20 brothers who are besieged by the Sang family's experts. The Sang family wants 250 million yang crystals to release them, but I only have 50 million yang crystals. I also went to ask some of my former friends, but most of them are not rich. Even some of them are not willing to lend me a large amount of yang crystals. In desperation, I came to ask Xiao Daoyu, Lu Jian explained. In that case, if I lend you yang crystals, not only will I have to bear the risk of you running away with the yang crystals, but I may also incur the Sang family's hatred. Even if you don't run away, even if you don't incur the Sang family's hatred, how long will you have to wait to pay back such a large amount of yang crystals? Xiaoling Yu said with an awkward expression. The Xiao family was rich, and 200 million yang crystals would not shake the Xiao family's foundation. However, these yang crystals were obtained by Linger and Big Sister Gu through dangers. They could not just throw them away for no reason. After all, the Xiao family had a large family to support, and now there were more than 50 Xiao Wei who were constantly consuming the Xiao family's property. Half of Xiaoling Yu's awkward expression was genuine. In that case, I won't bother you any longer. Lu Jian did not appear too disappointed because he had already expected this result. What surprised Xiaoling Yu was that even though Lu Jian did not manage to borrow any yang crystals from him, his expression became more resolute. He could not help but ask curiously, if you can't borrow enough yang crystals, what does fellow Taoist Lu plan to do? Lu Jian smiled and said, why should a real man fear death? I will not let my brothers be slaughtered and escape by myself. If I can't borrow yang crystals, I can only charge into the Sang family's encirclement. Even if I die, I will die in front of my brothers. In truth, Xiaoling Yu was a little touched by Lu Jian's words, but he did not lend Lu Jian any yang crystals. He only smiled calmly and sent Lu Jian out. As soon as Lu Jian left the Xiao family's courtyard, Xiaoling Yu said to Linger, follow him. With Linger's concealment ability, following Lu Jian, who was in the Nirvana realm, would not be discovered. If not for her slower speed, she could even follow an extreme star realm expert without anyone noticing. Xiaoling Yu returned to the reception hall. At this time, Miling and Big Sister Gu were already waiting in the reception hall. Do you think Lu Jian's words are trustworthy? Xiaoling Yu asked after sitting down. Yes. Big Sister Gu and Miling gave the same answer. I also think that he is trustworthy. However, even if he is trustworthy, we still have to be careful if we want to help him. Xiaoling Yu pinched the bridge of his nose and continued, I am not afraid of the Sang clan. I am just worried that after we help them get through this ordeal, although they will admit their debt and will definitely repay it, if they are still unwilling to join the Xiao Wei, then it will be even more difficult for me to say anything. This kind of thankless task needs to be carefully considered. I think that before Lu Jian came to beg us, he must have thought that we would use their joining the Xiao clan as a condition to take advantage of their difficulties. Since he still braced himself and came, it means that he has already made his decision. As long as we are willing to lend him yang crystals, he will agree to our conditions. After all, nothing is more important than the lives of his 20 brothers. Miling said with a faint smile. If we help them get through this ordeal, even if we don't say anything, Lu Jian will take the initiative to join the Xiao clan. That guy is clearly someone who values friendship and righteousness. He definitely won't be ungrateful. Big Sister Gu continued. Let's have Linger take a look at the situation first. If it is true, there is no harm in helping them. Even if they are unwilling to join the Shao clan, at the very least, when we ask them for help in the future, they will most likely not refuse, Xiao Lingyu said. After waiting in the courtyard for more than 2 hours, Linger sent a message back, saying that Lu Jian had already left the city. After the time it took to brew a cup of tea, Linger sent a message saying that Lu Jian had met up with 20 or so cultivators and were heading towards Heavenly Star Forest together. Xiao Lingyu thought for a moment. First, he sent a message to Linger to continue following them. Then, he turned to Big Sister Gu and said, "Big Sister Gu, are you willing to accompany little brother on this trip?" Big Sister Gu smiled and nodded. She said, "It just so happens that I have been cooped up in this courtyard for many years. I want to go out and get some fresh air." Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu then left the new city, heading towards Heavenly Star Forest at a moderate pace. Miling did not follow them. Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu had left. He had to stay behind to take care of the Shao clan's affairs. With Linger leading the way, Xiao Lingyu and Big Sister Gu naturally did not lose track of them. However, they were not in a hurry to get close. The new city was not far from Heavenly Star Forest. However, even though this distance was not considered too far, Lu Jian and the other cultivators still used close to 100 years to cross it. After all, they did not have any extreme astral realm experts, nor did they have any high-grade flying treasures. After entering Heavenly Star Forest, they advanced for close to 50 years. Only then did Lu Jian and the other cultivators stop. They dug out a temporary immortal's cave and rested for a month. When they recovered to their peak condition, they set out again. Looking at the posture of Lu Jian and the other cultivators, they were most likely preparing to fight the Sang clan's experts to the death. In only a day's time, Lu Jian and the other 20 cultivators stopped in front of a steep mountain. This mountain could not be considered very tall. Not only was it steep, but it was also several thousand feet long. It looked like a stone wall. There seems to be quite a few cultivators guarding the mountain. Lu Jian's brothers should be surrounded. Behind the mountain is a small valley. Big Sister Gu said to Xiao Lingyu. "Big Sister, wait here first. I will go and talk to Lu Jian." After Big Sister Gu nodded, Xiao Lingyu increased her speed and flew towards the valley. Soon, she caught up to Lu Jian and the other cultivators, who had already slowed down. "Xiao Daoyu, why are you here?" Lu Jian was extremely surprised to see Xiao Lingyu. "If I didn't come, I'm afraid fellow Taoist Lu would have led these brothers to their deaths at the foot of this mountain." Xiao Lingyu smiled and threw a storage pouch to Lu Jian. "There are 200 million yang crystals inside. Fellow Taoist Lu, you don't have to risk your life." Lu Jian first used his divine sense to examine the storage pouch. Then, he bowed to Xiao Lingyu with a grateful expression. "Xiao Daoyu generously helped and saved my brothers' lives. I, Lu Jian, am willing to serve fellow Taoist in the future. Let's not talk about this for now. Let's first redeem your brothers," Xiao Lingyu said with a smile. Lu Jian led the other 20 cultivators and bowed. Then, they continued to approach the mountain valley. When they reached the foot of the mountain, there was already a group of no less than 50 cultivators coming down from the mountain. They blocked Lu Jian's path. Chapter 839. Lu Jian, you're too stupid. Do you think that just because you've given us 250 million yang crystals, our Sang clan will let bygones be bygones? Ha, you've killed more than 10 of our Sang clan's experts. This debt of blood must be repaid with blood. Today, all of you must die. As they spoke, the Sang clan's experts were already wielding gleaming weapons. In the next moment, their attacks were directed at Lu Jian and the other cultivators. "Let's do it. The Sang clan has an astral limit expert. I'll deal with him. You and Linger help Lu Jian deal with the other Sang clan cultivators." Big Sister Gu reminded. "Of course we'll do it. If we don't, then my 200 million yang crystals will be wasted." Xiao Lingyu responded. Wings of extreme speed appeared on his back, and he gripped the Xianyuan sword tightly in his hand. Sister Goo's speed was extremely fast. In an instant, she had already arrived at the foot of the mountain. A powerful aura that only an extreme astral realm warrior could have swept through the entire area, pushing all of the Sang family's warriors far away. "How dare you!" An angry shout came from the top of the mountain. Then, a beam of starlight extreme fire shot towards Big Sister Goo like a rocket. Big Sister Goo waved her sleeves, and her own starlight extreme fire met it head-on. Boom, the two balls of brilliant star extreme fire collided with each other, and a brilliant radiance instantly erupted. Countless sparks of fire exploded like stars in the sky. Big Sister Goo stepped on the void, and her body shot upwards. In an instant, she had already reached the top of the mountain. Then, two figures flew up from the top of the mountain, and in the blink of an eye, they were already in the sky. A cloud of nebula appeared out of nowhere, enveloping the Sang clan's experts and Lu Jian's brothers. "Linger, go help out in the valley." Xiaoling Yu could not see Linger, but he knew that Linger could definitely hear him. Although Linger had left, the nebula did not immediately dissipate. Xiaoling Yu wielded the Xianyuan sword, borrowing the speed of the supersonic wings to weave through the nebula. The uniformed Sang clan experts were all slain on the spot. His primal nirvana true fire was comparable to the starlight extreme fire, and his physical strength and speed were comparable to extreme astral realm experts. This already made Xiaoling Yu invincible against extreme astral realm experts, let alone the fact that he held the Xianyuan sword in his hand. These Sang clan cultivators, who were at most at the nirvana realm, were as weak as 3-year-old children in front of him. Having lost their sense of direction, they had no power to resist at all. There was no need for Lu Jian and the other cultivators to take action. The battlefield at the foot of the mountain was already Xiaoling Yu's solo performance. It was a one-sided massacre. The Sang clan cultivators at the foot of the mountain all believed that they had run into an extreme astral realm expert. They were all terrified like stray dogs, and did not have the heart to put up any meaningless resistance. They all rushed out of the nebula fog. Unfortunately, their speed was far inferior to Xiaoling Yu's, and even escaping became an extravagant hope. Lu Jian and the other cultivators huddled together tightly. Within the nebula fog, they could not see the enemy, nor could they tell the direction. However, they could still concentrate on defense. The nebula fog quickly dissipated. What Lu Jian and the other cultivators did not expect was that the dozens of Nirvana realm experts of the Sang clan had all turned into corpses at this moment. Lu Jian and the other cultivators looked at the scattered bodies of the Sang clan experts, then at the ground littered with severed limbs, then at Xiaoling Yu, who didn't even have a single drop of blood on him, calmly sweeping through the storage magic treasures of the Sang clan experts. Lu Jian and the other cultivators looked at each other in dismay, a chill running through their hearts. Lu Jian and the other cultivators believed that they were decisive in killing. They had seen countless bloody battlefields, and could be considered veterans of hundreds of battles. However, when they looked at Xiaoling Yu's figure, they still felt their hearts tremble. In just 20 breaths of time, dozens of Sang clan experts had all been killed by a single person. Moreover, this person had not even reached the extreme astral realm. Lu Jian could not believe it. After waiting for less than 100 breaths of time, Lu Jian saw another 20 or so cultivators fly out of the valley. He excitedly went to greet them. These 20 or so cultivators were all Lu Jian's brothers. When they came out, they were also completely unharmed. However, their faces were also filled with shock. If Xiaoling Yu said that she was invincible under the extreme astral realm, then Linger was someone who even extreme astral realm experts could not do anything to. Although her attacks were a bit weak, that was only when compared to those Nirvana realm experts whose attacks were stronger. More importantly, no matter how powerful your attacks were, Linger would not give you a chance to hit her. Even if you could hit Linger, it would be extremely difficult to deal any real damage to her. However, if extreme astral realm experts could not do anything to Linger, she could not do anything to extreme astral realm experts either. Cultivators under the extreme astral realm might be able to withstand one of her attacks, but they would definitely not be able to withstand her repeated attacks. After Linger entered the valley, she only needed to scatter a cloud of nebula fog, and the Sang clan experts in the valley could only accept their merciless slaughter. Why did you help us? After Lu Jian calmed his mind, he asked Xiaoling Yu. If you all died, who would I look for to collect my debt? Xiaoling Yu smiled, then said, let's go back. I'll help Big Sister take care of that extreme astral realm expert. Xiao Daoyu's great kindness, we will definitely repay you with our lives in the future. Lu Jian sincerely bowed, then led his brothers out of the heavenly star forest. After Lu Jian and the other cultivators left, Linger appeared beside Xiaoling Yu. Let's go, we'll go help Big Sister Gu. Xiaoling Yu leapt into the air, his wings of extreme speed flapping non-stop. He was wrapped in a silver light as he rushed into the sky. Linger also flew up, but when she was less than 300 meters above the ground, her body once again disappeared into nothingness. Big Sister Gu and that extreme astral realm expert of the Sang clan had already fought their way into the sky. If it was before, Xiaoling Yu wouldn't have been able to fly so high, because his body couldn't withstand the powerful pressure of the high altitude. But now, his body was comparable to an extreme astral realm expert, and he also had the speed of an extreme astral realm expert. He didn't feel the slightest bit of discomfort as he flew up. It was relatively easy to see the battle between extreme astral realm experts, because the battle's momentum was too great, and the scene was also exceptionally beautiful. Big Sister Gu, dressed in a light green palace dress, waved her sleeves, and fiery oranges of extreme astral fire whistled out. Endless amounts of astral energy also gathered around her body, forming a resplendent nebula. She then used all sorts of magical techniques to attack, and it looked like a sky full of fireworks blooming together. Her opponent wasn't weak either, and was also able to gather a large amount of astral energy to battle. He should also be in the middle stage of astral realm. Facing Big Sister Gu's attacks, he was able to handle them with ease. The battle between the two extreme astral realm experts was evenly matched, and neither could gain the upper hand. However, Big Sister Gu, who had been on the offensive this entire time, was clearly more confident. Her opponent had already used his magical treasure, while she was still empty-handed. Xiaoling Yu's arrival also attracted the attention of the opponent. However, he didn't directly enter the battle, and instead silently watched from the side. Although he was comparable to an extreme astral realm expert in many aspects, he was only comparable to someone who had just entered the extreme astral realm. It didn't mean that he could actually fight against an extreme astral realm expert. The only method he could use to injure an extreme astral realm expert was the destruction heavenly eye. Since he had made his move today, it was naturally best not to leave anyone alive. If he didn't want to leave anyone alive, then he had to kill them in one strike. Otherwise, the opponent would definitely escape. Seeing Xiaoling Yu's arrival, Big Sister Gu finally began to use her strength. Sets of powerful restriction seals condensed from astral energy were shot out by her. These seals were fused with a high-level restriction formation, and their might was incomparably powerful. It was one of Big Sister Gu's proudest offensive methods. The opponent finally realized how powerful Big Sister Gu was. Although they were both in the middle stage of astral realm, there was a huge gap between their abilities and spells, which would also lead to a huge gap in their overall strength. He knew that he had no hope of winning today, so naturally, he wanted to retreat. After forcefully shattering Big Sister Gu's seals, his body flickered, and he actually charged towards Xiaoling Yu. It seemed that even if he wanted to escape, he still had to kill one of his enemies. You think I'm a pushover? Xiaoling Yu's lips curled into a sinister smile. When the opponent was close, Linger suddenly appeared. First, a cloud of nebula fog instantly enveloped the opponent's body. Then, with all her strength, she slapped her palm towards the opponent's back. The opponent had been charging forward at top speed. Suddenly, he was enveloped by the nebula fog. He was shocked. Just as he was about to stop, his back was hit by a palm. His body was once again propelled forward by the nebula fog. As soon as he stopped, a red light appeared in the fog. Then, an intense pain came from his chest. He was shocked to discover that a bull-sized bloody hole had been blasted into his chest. His heart had been blown apart as well. He thought that the opponent would definitely dodge, and then he would inevitably be killed. However, not only did the opponent not dodge, he even heavily injured himself. Without waiting for the opponent to catch his breath, Big Sister Gu charged over again. Her powerful restriction seals easily struck the already heavily injured opponent. That extreme Star Realm expert from the same clan was blown away like a leaf in the wind. Along the way, he spilled large amounts of blood. Without waiting for him to stabilize his body, one restriction seal after another landed on his body, directly blasting him from the sky to the ground. His body crashed heavily into the valley. At this time, Lu Jian and the other cultivators hadn't gone far. They saw a figure wrapped in starlight extreme fire fall from the sky like a meteor. They were all incomparably shocked. Could it be that the extreme Star Realm expert from the same clan really died? That Shao clan is actually this powerful? Lu Jian was truly shocked today. He also sank into deep thought. More than 20 years had passed. Xiaoling Yu, Big Sister Gu, and Ling Er once again returned to the Shao clan's courtyard in the new city. The three of them seemed to have just gone out for a stroll. There wasn't the slightest bit of abnormality on their faces. However, after returning, Xiaoling Yu invited Miaoying alone to her private cultivation room. From the happy expression on Miaoying's face when she came out, it was obvious that she had obtained quite a lot of benefits. After another few decades of peace, Lu Jian and the other cultivators finally arrived in the new city. They didn't linger or dawdle for a moment. After entering the new city, they headed straight for the Shao clan's courtyard. "Master, please take us in." Lu Jian bowed deeply to Xiaoling Yu. Then, he actually led the 50 or so brothers under him to swear an oath of never betrayal. Chapter 840. Xiaoling Yu knew that he had obtained excellent results this time. He nodded with satisfaction and then invited Lu Jian and the other cultivators to the Shao family's side courtyard. Xiaoling Yu's strength was strong enough to kill extreme Star Realm masters. His wealth was so rich that he could casually take out hundreds of millions of yang crystals, and Xiaoling Yu's humility and politeness, without putting on airs, were all reasons why Lu Jian and the other cultivators were sincerely convinced. "Although the Patriarch has accepted us, the 200 million yang crystals we owe will definitely be repaid through hard work in the future," Lu Jian said on the way. "Haha, our family doesn't lack yang crystals. Don't mention this matter again in the future," Xiaoling Yu said with a generous smile. "As for the grace of saving our lives, we can only repay it with our lives in the future," Lu Jian said with a firm tone. "You don't need to repay anything. I'll say it again, I only ask two things of you, loyalty and courage. As long as you can fulfill these two requirements, it's enough," Xiaoling Yu replied indifferently. Regarding the arrival of Lu Jian and the other cultivators, the group of Shao Wei from Yuran was very surprised, but they didn't say anything. When the Shao family's side courtyard was built, it was meant to accommodate about 100 cultivators, so it was still very spacious with the addition of 50 cultivators. After everyone was settled, Xiaoling Yu invited Lu Jian to a secret room in the side courtyard. "I have an opportunity to give you," Xiaoling Yu said calmly. "The Patriarch has already given us too much. This one really doesn't dare to ask for more. If there really is an opportunity, the Patriarch should consider other cultivators first," Lu Jian said sincerely. "Haha, to obtain this opportunity, it is not without conditions. Only cultivators who are hell-bent on following me can obtain it." Xiaoling Yu smiled and waved his hand, then said, "This opportunity can allow a Nirvana realm expert like you to reach the astral extreme realm very quickly, and there won't be too much risk. However, if you want to get this opportunity, you have to accept the sole restriction that I have planted." "Is it an astral magnet?" Lu Jian asked curiously. Xiaoling Yu shook her head and took out a jade bottle that was heavily sealed. Through the jade bottle and the restriction array, one could see that there was a flame flickering with starlight in the bottle. "Starlight extreme fire," Lu Jian exclaimed. "Since you know about the star pole magnet and the brilliant star fire, you should also know their uses. Are you willing to accept this opportunity?" Xiaoling Yu asked with narrowed eyes. Lu Jian hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "This subordinate is willing." If he wasn't willing, it meant that he didn't want to accept the soul restriction, which also meant that he didn't wholeheartedly follow the Shao clan. Lu Jian wanted to use the brilliant star fire to reach the extreme star realm, but he also realized that he didn't have any other choice. How could Shaolin Yu not have a better choice? This brilliant star fire came from the same clan's extreme star realm expert, but now, his family, friends, and children either already had the brilliant star fire or the star pole magnet. Either they had special constitutions, or their cultivation was too low, so they didn't need the brilliant star fire. Furthermore, the brilliant star fire couldn't be preserved for a long time like the star pole magnet, so he could only choose from cultivators he could trust. Apart from his own family, friends, and children, there were no cultivators in the Shao clan that Shaolin Yu could completely trust. Therefore, he had to use the soul restriction method to solve this problem. He originally trusted Lu Jian very much. After all, Lu Jian had already sworn an oath. However, if he also planted a restriction in Lu Jian's soul, then he could be completely at ease. As for Yu Ran, even though he was incomparably loyal to Shaolin Yu, and even though he would definitely be more willing to accept the soul restriction, Shaolin Yu still felt that this guy was unambitious, cowardly, and not very useful. After giving the brilliant star fire to Lu Jian, Shaolin Yu set up a formation diagram or spell formation in the quiet rooms of Lu Jian and the other cultivators, helping them speed up their cultivation. Afterwards, he returned to the Shao clan's courtyard to live a leisurely life. In terms of cultivation, the only thing the Shao clan could do for the Shao Wei was to provide as many cultivation resources as possible, so that they could wholeheartedly immerse themselves in cultivation without any worries. They would do their best to increase their cultivation and strength before the Shao clan needed them. However, right now, the 100-odd Shao Wei members belonged to two different groups. They were not familiar with each other, and neither of them was willing to submit to the other. Furthermore, they all lived in the same courtyard, so it was inevitable that there would be friction and trouble. At first, it was just one-on-one fights between people who didn't see eye to eye. Both sides would go to the training grounds to compete. After all, they were all members of the Shao Wei, so they wouldn't fight to the death. However, the resentment between the two sides grew thicker and thicker, and gradually, they started to fight in groups of 3 to 5. When Shaolin Yu heard about this, he made Miling the Shao Wei's leader, and Yu Ran and Lu Jian the vice leaders. He originally thought that with Miling overseeing the side courtyard, the two groups of Shao Wei would be more well-behaved. After some time, everyone would become familiar with each other, and after a period of adjustment, they would stop fighting. However, he underestimated the resentment of the two groups of proud cultivators. They gave Miling face and didn't fight again. However, when they met, they would always say a few words to each other, and there were a few times when it almost led to a fight. One day, 200 years after Mi Ling became the team leader, the quarrel between the two groups of Shao guards finally escalated into a fight. Moreover, more than 10 cultivators from both sides were involved in the fight. Fortunately, the side courtyard was very close to the Shao clan's main courtyard. As soon as the situation escalated, Shaolin Yu received the news and rushed to the scene. "Humph! How dare you!" Shaolin Yu snorted coldly and walked into the martial arts arena with an ashen face. The Shao Wei might not give Miling face, but when they saw Shaolin Yu, they were still a little afraid. After all, Shaolin Yu was the head of the Shao clan. The two groups of Shao Wei who were fighting in full swing just now all dispersed at this moment. Both sides formed their own groups and stood on opposite sides. Shaolin Yu stood in the middle of the two groups of Shao Wei. He coldly swept his gaze over the crowd and said, "Lu Jian, Yu Ran, the two of you come out." Lu Jian and Yu Ran each stepped out and stood in front of Shaolin Yu. Yu Ran didn't care at all at this time. He had a provocative look on his face and seemed to be very confident. Lu Jian's expression was serious, but there was a hint of guilt in his expression. "Since you all think that your side is more powerful, then let's compete in this martial arts arena today and see who's more powerful. The losing side had better behave in the future. If you're not strong enough, don't come out to make a scene and make a fool of yourself." The competition is divided into 3 parts. The first part is a single arena battle. The second part is a 5-on-5 group battle. The third part is a group battle where everyone moves out. The so-called arena battle is where one side first sends a cultivator to the arena. The side that loses will send another cultivator to the arena until the opponent in the arena is defeated. Then, the opponent will send another cultivator. In other words, if you're strong enough, you can fight until the end. The winner of the competition depends on which side's cultivator is on the arena at the end. In the 5-on-5 competition, it depends on the combat strength of your teams. You'll each be divided into 10 teams and fight 10 rounds to see which side wins more rounds. The group battle where everyone moves out is to see the level of cooperation and tacit understanding of your team as a whole. It also depends on the overall combat strength of your team. The 2 of you are not allowed to participate in the first 2 rounds. You can only participate in the 3rd round. Are the 2 of you clear? After Xiaoling Yu said this, he looked at Lu Jian and Yu Ran beside him. Yes. Lu Jian and Yu Ran responded in unison. Go and prepare yourselves. The first round of the competition will begin in 3 months. After Xiaoling Yu said this, he floated away. 3 months passed in a flash. Xiaoling Yu brought his family and friends to the side courtyard. They casually found a place to watch the competition in the corridor on the 3rd floor of the side courtyard. The first round was an arena battle, but the result was a little surprising. The winner was actually the group of Xiao Wei from Yuran. Moreover, they won before 10 people even entered the arena. But thinking about it, after all, Yuran's subordinates came from big clans. They didn't have to worry about cultivation resources before. Most of their time was spent on cultivation and comprehending various spells and techniques. Their individual combat strength was indeed very strong. If they didn't have some real skills, they wouldn't have disliked each other. With Big Sister Gu watching from the side and Xiaoling Yu as the referee, there were only injuries in the competition. No one lost their lives. After giving both sides a year to rest and reorganize, the second round of the competition began. The winner of the second round was Lu Jian's side. They had been running around outside all year round and had experienced countless battles. Their teamwork and skills were extremely strong. On the other hand, Yuran's bodyguards had never gone out to carry out any missions, let alone go to the Stellar Sky Forest. They had always been studying how to improve their individual strength. Their teamwork was a little weak. They directly lost 6 rounds in a row and lost this round of the competition. The 3rd round of the competition would only begin 3 years later, but everyone was optimistic that Lu Jian's team would win. The fact was as everyone expected. Although Yuran's guards used to fight together often and had a certain sense of teamwork, Yuran's commanding ability was too poor. Moreover, Yuran had been hiding at the back, very timid. Yuran didn't know much about their own subordinates. Their loss was not unjustified at all. On the other hand, Lu Jian's team quickly integrated into 5 teams as soon as they came up. Soon, their formation turned into a very clever battle formation. Moreover, this battle formation seemed to be something they used often in the past, so their movements were as smooth as moving clouds and flowing water. There was no unfamiliarity at all. Almost every member knew what they were going to do. This battle formation also exerted the strength of almost every cultivator. From the beginning, they suppressed the opponent. The scene was very exciting. If the commanders of both sides were changed, maybe the result would be different. Anya commented. Changing the commander can't change the result, but maybe it can make Yuran's Xiao Wei last a little longer. Lu Jian's brothers have already developed a good sense of teamwork in teamwork. Even without Lu Jian's command, they can still exert a very high level of combat power. Yuran's group can't do that. They still need some time to train. Big Sister Gu shook her head and said. The result of 2 out of 3 rounds was obvious. Lu Jian's team won Xiao Wei's competition. Because it was a 3-round competition, even if they won, there was no reward. However, those who lost were naturally severely reprimanded by Xiaoling Yu. Chapter 841. We are only good at talking. If we were to fight, even the patriarch might not be stronger than us. A cultivator grumbled in a bad mood, but he didn't lower his voice. That's right. A few cultivators who were also Yuran's subordinates also agreed. At this moment, Shaolin Yu was reprimanding Yuran. When he heard these words, he tilted his head and smiled. He knew that Yuran being reprimanded by him made the former guards of Yuran unhappy. In the eyes of those guards, Yuran was their true master. The reason why I can stand here and reprimand you is not only because I'm the clan head, nor is it because my Shao clan has provided for you. There's another important point, and that's because I'm stronger than all of you. The world of immortals is no different from other places. Whoever's fist is harder will have the right to speak. As Shaolin Yu spoke, he walked toward the cultivators who were originally Yuran's guards. Lu Jian revealed a playful smile. He had seen how powerful the patriarch was. He estimated that the cultivator who spoke just now was going to suffer. If you think that I'm only good at talking and don't accept it in your heart, I can give you a chance to try. You can come up one by one or all at once. As long as you can defeat me, not only will I take back my words, but I will also apologize to you. Shaolin Yu stood alone in front of the more than 50 cultivators and spoke proudly and confidently. I've come to experience the patriarch's skills. The cultivator who spoke out earlier walked to the front of the formation. He first waved his fist at Shaolin Yu as a salute, then he let out a loud shout and threw a punch at Shaolin Yu's chest. This punch was extremely fast, and it was soon wrapped in a circle of golden nirvana true fire. The powerful aura of a nascent soul cultivator was fully revealed. Shaolin Yu didn't raise his aura, didn't dodge, and didn't show any surprise. When the fire fist came, he suddenly raised his arm and grabbed the opponent's fist. Bang! An explosive sound rang out. The cultivator felt as if he had punched an iron wall. Intense pain immediately spread from the back of his hand to his entire body. Looking at Shaolin Yu, he still looked calm and his aura did not change. He did not use any spells, nor did he use any Dharma treasures. He did not even release his primordial fire or his skills. He only used his bare hands to take on the opponent's attack, but his body did not even sway. You can't do it alone. While the other party was still in shock, Shaolin Yu quickly lifted his leg and kicked out, sending the cultivator flying far away. The cultivator tried his best to stabilize himself. With the help of his brothers, he didn't land in a very sorry state. However, 2 lines of blood flowed out from the corners of his mouth. If you are not convinced, then come at me together. I am alone, and I can tell you clearly that I have not reached the extreme star realm. Shaolin Yu was even more confident now. If she did not establish her authority and show her strength, these cultivators who only took orders from Myling would not take her seriously. These arrogant cultivators, only by completely shattering their pride would they be willing to submit. Since you are also in the Nirvana realm, what are we afraid of? Brothers, let's go together. Those cultivators hesitated at first, but someone shouted. More than half of the 50 cultivators actually rushed towards Shaolin Yu. What surprised everyone was that the remaining 10 or so cultivators who were still hesitating had not decided whether or not to make a move. The nearly 40 Nirvana realm cultivators who had already rushed over were all sent flying far away like rubber balls in less than 100 breaths of time. At this moment, on the martial arts practice field, the nearly 40 cultivators were all clutching their stomachs or arms and legs, groaning in pain. Shaolin Yu's speed was too fast, so fast that these Nirvana realm cultivators could not even react before they were hit. With so many cultivators, it was impossible for them to release any big moves. They could only fight with their fists and feet against the Nirvana primordial fire. Facing Shaolin Yu, they were like a group of 3-year-old children facing a strong man. Do you still want to try? Shaolin Yu, whose hair was a little messy, tidied up her clothes and asked the remaining cultivators who had not made a move. Although the dozen or so cultivators were surprised, they, who were once guards, were not scared to the point of retreating. However, their faces were solemn as they lowered their heads and remained silent. They wanted to make a move, but even if they did, they would only be able to lie on the ground with everyone else. They were brave, but they were not stupid. These fellows deserved to be taught a lesson. They actually dared to contradict the wise and mighty patriarch. They are really tired of living. At this moment, Yuran ran to Xiaoling Yu and said with a flattering face, "If it wasn't for the patriarch's magnanimity and not wanting to bother too much with you, I would have taken your lives today. Get up and apologize to the patriarch." Hearing Yuran's words, Xiaoling Yu only smiled slightly, but Yuran's guards all felt cold in their hearts. They secretly wondered why they followed such a good-for-nothing master. If their master Yuran could be like the patriarch of the Xiao clan, how good would that be? Although Xiaoling Yu injured them, they also saw Xiaoling Yu's strength and realized the huge gap between them. They naturally admired Xiaoling Yu and realized that the patriarch of the Xiao clan was not an embroidered pillow or a vase, but a genuine expert. Xiaoling Yu did not wait for those cultivators to get up and apologize. Instead, she took out a small bottle. There was a layer of light green liquid in the bottle that could only cover the bottom of the bottle. She handed the small bottle to Yuran and said, "Open the bottle and a mist will overflow. Let them all drink a mouthful and their injuries will quickly heal. Patriarch doesn't need to spend any more money on these heartless things. It's better to let them suffer a little more, so that they don't know the immensity of heaven and earth." As Yuran spoke, she actually kept the small bottle. How can that guy do this? He's too much. So shameless. The girls on the third floor of the stone building who were watching the battle all criticized Yuran. "Ha, the more he acts like this, the better." Big Sister Gu laughed softly. "Having such a despicable person in the family will only make people feel disgusted," Jiang Lanchang said disdainfully. Big Sister Gu still only smiled and did not explain. "Keep that bottle. Give this bottle to them to heal their injuries." Xiaoling Yu generously took out a small bottle with the same light green liquid and handed it to Yuran. Yuran was too embarrassed to be greedy this time. He took the small bottle and kicked the cultivator who was holding his stomach and groaning softly, saying, "Stop pretending to be dead. Patriarch is benevolent and magnanimous. She healed your injuries. Why didn't I see that you guys were so ungrateful before? You even dared to talk back to Patriarch. You've really grown up." Yuran used the small bottle to heal the cultivators while scolding them, causing the girls on the stone building to grit their teeth. If Big Sister Gu hadn't stopped them, they would have rushed down and beaten Yuran up. Xiaoling Yu gave Lu Jian another small jade bottle, but it was half full of light green liquid. "We don't have many injured people, and they're all minor injuries. Patriarch, you don't have to spend money." Lu Jian refused. "We don't need it now, but we might need it in the future. Take it first." Xiaoling Yu stuffed the small bottle into Lu Jian's hands. After these 3 rounds of competition, Xiaoling Yu had a deeper understanding of Xiao Wei as a whole. He was also able to make corresponding adjustments. And through this competition, the 2 groups of Xiao Wei knew each other's weaknesses. It would be beneficial for them to work together and cultivate better in the future. As for the estrangement and conflict between these Xiao Wei, as they worked together for a long time, they would naturally get used to each other. Xiaoling Yu also knew that it was impossible to just cultivate behind closed doors. If Xiao Wei wanted to grow and improve, they had to go out and carry out missions from time to time. After giving the Xiao guards some time to recuperate, Xiaoling Yu split them up and formed 10 teams of 10. He personally led them to the Heavenly Star Forest to hunt Heavenly Star beasts to train them. Big Sister Gu and Linger would follow them every time. First, it was to relax. Second, it was to prevent any accidents. Third, it was to see if they could find the location of the hidden treasure. Every time they went out, it would take them more than 100 years. However, the effect was very obvious. After many battles, everyone had a better understanding of each other. The cultivators who didn't have a strong sense of teamwork were also working hard to integrate themselves into the team and improve their teamwork. Xiaoling Yu and Big Sister Gu would also give each team a set of brilliant battle formations according to their characteristics. They would constantly train and maximize their combat power. After all the Xiao Wei had formed teams and gone out twice, the entire Xiao Wei had gotten used to listening to Shaolin Yu's orders. They had become a single entity and were no longer divided into factions. Shaolin Yu's calmness and composure when he led the team to hunt heavenly star beasts, as well as his ability to see the big picture and battle awareness, had convinced all the Xiao Wei. Even the cultivators who used to follow Lu Jian felt that their family head was not only strong in battle but also a qualified commander. After many years of preparation, the grand auction organized by the 4 great factions in the new city was finally about to begin. In the new city, there wasn't too much space to accommodate too many cultivators. Therefore, the 4 great factions set up the venue in a vast open space outside the city. Now, the experts of the 4 great factions had already finished setting up the venue. They had also sent out a large number of astral extreme realm experts to guard the venue. Even if they weren't in the city, there wouldn't be any cultivators who would dare to cause trouble. All the treasures would be auctioned in this venue. There were no levels. All the cultivators who were interested in bidding would also have to squeeze into the same venue. The venue looked like a soccer field on Earth. There were circular stands on all sides, but they were made up of circular ladders. All the cultivators who hadn't reached the astral extreme realm could sit on those ladders. However, they had to pay a fee of 10,000 yang crystals to enter the venue. In the center of the venue, there was an auction stage that was 1,000 feet tall. However, from afar, even 1,000 feet tall couldn't be considered very grand. Chapter 842. The auction soon began. Regardless of whether it was the surrounding layers of round ladders or the extreme astral realm VIP seats surrounding the auction stage, all of them were already filled to the brim. Glancing around, the number of cultivators participating in the auction this time should be no less than 5 million. If each cultivator paid 10,000 yang crystals, just the entrance fee alone would net the 4 top forces nearly 50 billion yang crystals, not to mention the VIP seats, which were 10 times more expensive than the ordinary seats. In addition, the treasures that the 4 top forces took out could all be sold at a high price, and they still had to take a cut from the treasures they put up for auction. After this auction, they would make a huge profit. Previously, when they sold the land in the new city, they also made a lot of money. The 4 top forces were so active in building the new city and organizing this auction, it could be said that they had gained both fame and fortune. No wonder they were so enthusiastic. With Big Sister Gu, an astral extreme realm expert, and the auction host still owed the Xiao clan 50 billion yang crystals, Shaolin Yu could naturally sit in the VIP seats. This time, only 4 people from the Xiao clan came to participate in the auction: Shaolin Yu, Big Sister Gu, Yu Ran, and Lu Jian. Long before the auction began, Shaolin Yu had asked the Xiao Wei to list their needs, and then the Xiao clan would pay the yang crystals, while Yu Ran and Lu Jian would bid. The Xiao Wei were incomparably grateful to the Xiao clan for this benefit. They could all see that the Xiao clan was indeed investing a lot of energy and money in them, so they were all full of enthusiasm and confidence for the future. According to the usual practice, the auction wouldn't take out anything too high grade at the beginning, and would only take out some ordinary treasures, which wouldn't be able to move the VIPs. With so many cultivators, it was naturally impossible to bid by shouting at the top of their lungs. The organizer had set up a bidding restriction board on each seat. If the cultivators intended to bid for a certain treasure, they only needed to write their bid on the bidding board. The restriction on the bidding board would transmit the bid code to the 4 large light screens hanging high above the auction venue. As for the treasures, they were also being introduced through the 4 light screens, each of which was no less than 10,000 feet in length and width. The organizer had previously promised that the treasures they were auctioning were definitely not fake. If anyone discovered that the treasures they bid for were fake or did not match the description, they would be able to receive up to 10 times the amount of compensation as soon as it was verified. After each treasure was introduced, there was only 100 breaths of time for everyone to make a bid. After the 100 breaths of time, the highest bidder would win. The final treasures at the end were not included in this list. Because there were too many ordinary treasures, the big light screen would often introduce a few or even a dozen items at a time. Only then would the cultivators who were interested in bidding make their bids. In the beginning, many cultivators wanted to take advantage of the situation and wait until the time limit of 100 breaths was almost up before suddenly bidding. However, they gradually found that there were too many cultivators bidding at the last moment. Their price tags were directly drawn out and crushed to death. Everyone did not want to raise the price tag, but if they wanted to win the item they liked at the last moment, they had to bid a high price. Because it was impossible to predict how high the price other cultivators would bid, it was difficult for them to calculate the appropriate price to bid. Soon, everyone had the same idea, and that was to not think too much. They just needed to bid the highest price they could afford at the last moment. The Xiao family was rich and had solid assets. Xiaoling Yu said to Yuran and Lu Jian, "Those treasures are not difficult to get, nor are they urgently needed. Just bid a high price. If you can't get them, then think of other ways in the future. Those treasures that are urgently needed and difficult to get, bid at least 10 times the base price." The auction of the ordinary treasures lasted for a full 5 months before it ended. Xiaoling Yu and the other 3 could be considered to have gained a lot. Very few of the treasures that they fancied fell into the hands of other cultivators. During this period, Xiaoling Yu also bid a dozen times. The treasures that he bid for were all useful to his wife and children. Big Sister Gu waited patiently and did not bid even once. These ordinary treasures could not enter her eyes at all. Ordinary treasures were mostly suitable for Immortal Realm and Nirvana Realm cultivators. Astral Realm cultivators rarely bid. The next treasures to be auctioned were relatively more advanced. They might be able to tempt Nirvana Realm and Astral Realm cultivators. Naturally, there were not as many advanced treasures as ordinary ones. In less than 10 days, all the treasures of this level were sold out. The last treasure of this level caused a very intense round of bidding, pushing the entire auction to a climax. This was because it was the life pearl of an astral realm heavenly beast. The auctioneer had set the starting price for this life pearl at 100 million yang crystals. Xiaoling Yu directly bid a high price of 1 billion yang crystals. It did not take long for it to be surpassed. In the blink of an eye, the price of this life pearl had been raised to 3 billion yang crystals. Xiaoling Yu frowned slightly. He stared at the constantly rising price on the big screen and sighed inwardly. He was not the only rich person in the world of immortals. An astral extreme realm heavenly star beast's life pearl combined with star brilliant extreme fire or star pole magnet could directly create a true astral extreme realm expert. This would be very useful and meaningful for a lot of Nirvana realm warriors or some small forces. However, for a lot of powerful warriors or big forces with a lot of astral extreme realm experts, it was nothing. If they wanted an astral extreme realm heavenly star beast's life pearl, they could just directly kill their way into the heavenly star forest. The bidding time for this life pearl was half an hour long. However, when the price reached 5 billion yang crystals, the increase in price slowed down. Only 3 or 4 cultivators were still slowly increasing the price. It seemed that this had reached the limit of what everyone could bear. Xiaoling Yu was still hesitating. However, seeing that the time was almost up, Xiaoling Yu did not make a move. Big Sister Gu directly bid a high price of 10 billion yang crystals. What we don't lack the most right now is yang crystals. What we lack the most is astral realm cultivators. Big Sister Gu casually said after bidding. 5 billion yang crystals was already everyone's limit. 10 billion yang crystals made everyone give up. This life pearl of an astral realm heavenly beast was eventually won by the Xiao clan. Xiaoling Yu then thought about it and agreed. Not to mention the treasures that the Xiao clan had put up for auction this time, just the starting price alone was more than 1 trillion yang crystals. Just the 50 billion yang crystals that the auctioneer owed the Xiao clan was enough to make 5 billion yang crystals not worth mentioning. If they dare to put up more life pearls like this, we won't have to be polite. We'll buy them all. Big Sister Gu said again. The organizer was made up of the 4 top forces. They must have quite a few extreme astral realm heavenly star beast life pearls, but they would not take out too many for the auction. One reason was that they needed these life pearls to strengthen themselves, and the other reason was that they did not want other forces to get too many life pearls and rise too quickly. The auction then entered the final stage. The treasures that were auctioned at this stage were all existences that astral realm cultivators would scramble for. However, the value of each item was in the hundreds of millions. The first item to appear was a starfire essence stone, followed by the heavenly star mysterious spirit fruit, followed by the star observation mirror, and then the 9 luminaries star perception pill. With the life pearl of an astral realm heavenly beast, the Shao clan would soon have a true astral realm cultivator. Therefore, Shaolin Yu also had to make some preparations for astral realm cultivation. Therefore, he took advantage of the Shao clan's wealth and repeatedly bid. Just having a beginner astral realm cultivator was not enough. The Shao clan not only needed a few more astral realm cultivators, but also needed their own astral realm cultivators to quickly level up. Big Sister Gu was very knowledgeable. When she said that this treasure must be obtained, Shaolin Yu desperately increased the price. When she said that this treasure was not essential, Shaolin Yu was much more casual. In short, as long as Big Sister Gu wanted it, most of it would fall into Shaolin Yu's storage treasure. There really is Sky Dome mysterious spirit milk. Big Sister Gu's always calm expression finally showed some excitement. The Sky Dome mysterious spirit milk that was just introduced on the screen was one of the most important materials she needed to concoct the Star Dome pill. However, although there was only half a bottle of this Sky Dome mysterious spirit milk, just the starting price alone reached 10 billion sun crystals. This was because it was not only a high-quality material for concocting pills, but also had the powerful effect of immediately healing an astral realm cultivator's soul with just a small sip. It also had the effect of strengthening and nourishing an astral realm cultivator's soul. The introduction had just ended, and the bidding had just begun. In just a few breaths of time, the price of the Sky Dome mysterious spirit milk had already reached 50 billion sun crystals, and the trend was still very fierce. Big Sister Gu was determined to obtain the Sky Dome mysterious spirit milk. Looking at her excited appearance, even if she had to give up everything, she would not hesitate. Big Sister Gu was also able to keep her calm. She gradually suppressed her excited state of mind, and calmly looked at the continuously rising price on the screen. When the price reached 80 billion sun crystals, the rising trend finally slowed down a lot. However, it was inevitable that the price would exceed 100 billion. Shaolin Yu now understood why Big Sister Gu always dragged Linger out to search for treasures, even though her family was already very rich. The cultivation resources needed by astral realm cultivators were not a simple matter. Ordinary astral realm cultivators wanted to rely on a large amount of cultivation resources to quickly improve, but it was simply wishful thinking. A single material could easily cost 100 billion sun crystals. Ordinary cultivators simply could not afford it. After the price of the Sky Dome mysterious spirit milk reached 120 billion sun crystals, it finally stopped rising. Big Sister Gu waited until the time was almost up, and then she directly wrote down a high price of 160 billion sun crystals on the bidding board. What she did not expect was that as soon as her price appeared on the screen, a bid of 180 billion sun crystals was placed on it. Without waiting for Big Sister Gu to react, Shaolin Yu had already helped her raise the price to 230 billion sun crystals. A one-time increase of 50 billion sun crystals. This was already the largest and most shocking increase in the auction so far. The other party did not increase the price, and the bidding ended. Big Sister Gu finally let out a long sigh of relief. Chapter 843. Big Sister Gu also noticed the anger in the cultivator's eyes, but she only looked back indifferently without any fear. After the celestial profound spirit milk, there were several other high-quality treasures that attracted the attention of the Star Realm experts in the VIP seats. However, Shaolin Yu and Big Sister Gu didn't make a move. As for the truly powerful treasures that could be used by anyone, the four top forces wouldn't put them all up for auction. Even if other cultivators put them up for auction, they would buy them at a high price in private. There was no doubt that whether it was the construction of the new city or this grand auction, the four top forces would naturally benefit the most. Although the Shao family also obtained a lot of treasures, they spent a lot of yang crystals to obtain them. After some calculations, the Shao family had spent nearly 400 billion sun crystals in this auction. However, the sun crystals that the Shao family had taken out to auction could be exchanged for nearly 5 trillion sun crystals for the Shao family. Not to mention an ordinary extreme star realm expert, even for a large force, this was a shocking amount. The auction finally ended and the four cultivators of the Shao family returned to the Shao family's courtyard in the new city. The city lord's mansion was very efficient. On the second day after the auction ended, the city lord personally sent 4 trillion yang crystals to the Shao family. The city lord said that the 1 trillion yang crystals were short due to the lack of cash flow, but in reality, everyone knew that the city lord's mansion felt that the Shao family had earned too much, so they deliberately deducted the amount. They didn't say that they wouldn't pay it back, so Xiaolingyu naturally didn't care too much. After all, the Shao family was in the new city and was protected by the city lord's mansion. It wasn't a bad thing for the city lord's mansion to owe them such a big favor. He even generously said to the city lord, "If you have enough cash flow, just pay it back casually. If you really can't, then these yang crystals will be donated to the brothers who guard the new city day and night." The city lord naturally walked out of the Shao family's gate with satisfaction. The next day, he sent a group of more than 100 city guards to patrol the streets near the Shao family's residence. Not long after, Meiling broke through to the true Nirvana realm after the nascent soul realm. Xiaolingyu gave the star realm heavenly star beast's life pearl to him. If there are no accidents, Meiling will reach the star realm within 10,000 years and become a true star realm expert, Big Sister Gu said. Now that all the materials for refining the star sky pill had been prepared, and she had a good pill furnace, Xiaolingyu's primal chaos nirvana true fire would be able to start refining the sky star pill. When her primal chaos nirvana true fire increased its power, she could start refining the sky star pill. Xiaolingyu's nirvana realm s neen the realms nirvana realm heavens s's. Just a moment ago, after Meiling received the life pearl, he immediately went into seclusion to cultivate. He didn't even say a word of thanks. After obtaining the star pole magnet, Meiling didn't know how many benefits he received from Xiaolingyu. He knew how much Xiaolingyu had paid for his rapid advancement. He couldn't find any new words to thank her, so he didn't say anything. He would repay her after he reached the star realm. Yu Ran and Lu Jian also brought back the treasures they obtained from the auction to the Shao family's courtyard. The Shao family's collection was already quite rich, and with these treasures, Xiao Wei and the others didn't lack anything before they reached the star realm. They only needed to work hard and cultivate without any worries. During this auction, Yu Ran and Lu Jian sat next to Xiaolingyu and Big Sister Gu. They finally saw the true extent of the Shao family's wealth. Xiaolingyu also distributed the materials that he had purchased for his wives, children, and relatives. With the support of the Shao family's enormous fortune, each and every one of his wives with extraordinary talent would soon be able to smoothly cultivate to the true Nirvana realm, and the children would also be able to advance to the body puppet realm without any risk. These children are lucky to have a father like you. As long as they have a little bit of ambition and hard work, they will become star realm experts sooner or later. Big Sister Gu smiled. I also need to work hard and cultivate for a while. Otherwise, while everyone is improving, I'll be regressing. Now that the Shao family had settled down, Xiaolingyu didn't have much to do. Before Meiling reaches the star realm, let's work hard and cultivate in this courtyard. As for the Xiao Wei, besides cultivating, they also need to practice the combination formation we taught them. Big Sister Gu nodded. After organizing everything, Xiaolingyu also went into seclusion. In the blink of an eye, 8,000 years passed. Meiling finally reached the star realm with the help of the star pole magnet and the life pearl. When the star pole magnet helped Myling gather star power and condense the starlight extreme fire, it dissipated in Myling's body. Although Big Sister Gu was a woman, she was more generous than many men. After Myling reached the star realm, she taught Myling many of her cultivation experiences and a set of powerful formation techniques. She also gave Myling many of the cultivation resources that star realm experts could use. In addition, Shaolin Yu bought many of the materials, pills, and other resources that star realm experts needed at the auction. Myling quickly stabilized his realm at the early stage of the star realm, and continuously advanced towards the middle stage of the star realm. Shaolin Yu knew that Big Sister Gu mostly did this because she wanted her to leave in peace. After living together for so many years, Big Sister Gu already had deep feelings for the Shao family. She had brought many benefits to the Shao family, and Linger of the Shao family had also helped her greatly. In these 8,000 years, Shaolin Yu had improved quite a bit. With the help of the formation diagrams and formations, and the support of many chaos heavenly crystals, his cultivation had already reached the late stage of the primal chaos realm. The primal chaos true fire, with the help of the black and white fire spirit, had increased its power to a level that was much stronger than Big Sister Gu's starlight extreme fire. The improvement of the primal chaos true fire would naturally also improve the quality of Shaolin Yu's physical body. The Shao family had endless cultivation resources, and with the powerful protective effect of the light green liquid, Shaolin Yu did not have the slightest risk in tempering his body in the fire. As for Xiao Wei, Yu Ran, Lu Jian, and other experts who were in the true Nirvana realm were all at the peak of the Nirvana realm. As long as they had an astral extreme realm heavenly star beast's life pearl or an astral extreme pill, they could easily advance to the astral extreme realm. It was worth mentioning that the 100 or so Nirvana realm experts had improved quite a bit. Their camp also had the formation diagrams and formations arranged by Shaolin Yu. With the strong support of the Shao family, their improvement was natural. However, the most important thing was that they had mastered their own battle formations. With Lu Jian's brilliant coordination and command, the battle strength they could erupt with together was several times higher than before. The development of the new city had also stabilized. With the deterrence of the 4 top forces, no cultivator dared to cause trouble in the new city. However, it was not easy to live in the new city for a long time. Many cultivators and forces of various sizes had settled down in the surrounding areas not far from the new city. They either built villas or strongholds outside the new city, making the land of immortals in the new city seem incomparably lively. Close to 2,000 years had passed since Myling advanced to the astral extreme realm. Shaolin Yu, who was playing with a few children in the courtyard, suddenly heard a clap of thunder coming from the direction of the demon abyss. Then, she felt that the entire new city began to shake violently. Even though the new city was protected by countless powerful restrictions and formations, it was still shaking non-stop. The scene outside the new city was even more earth-shaking. Countless cultivators walked out of their houses and looked around blankly, not knowing what to do. This movement can't be caused by that damn dog, right? Big Sister Gu cast a technique to stabilize the Shao family's courtyard and said with a frown. It's not impossible. This movement clearly came from the demon abyss, Shaolin Yu replied. The new city's shaking lasted for the time it took to brew a cup of tea before it stopped. The city guards in the city ran around to inform everyone that the previous shaking was caused by an ordinary earthquake. They told everyone not to panic. How could an ordinary earthquake have such power? If an ordinary earthquake can make the new city shake like this, then the new city's defensive power is too weak, Big Sister Gu said with a smile. Something must have happened in the demon abyss, Shaolin Yu said worriedly. Don't worry. The 4 top forces will definitely send experts to check it out. Even if something happens, they will be the ones to take care of it, Big Sister Gu said with a relaxed smile. However, at midnight, the howling celestial dog, who had left for many years, came looking for them. As if worried that the howling celestial dog was here to cause trouble, a large group of city guards came over and surrounded the howling celestial dog at the entrance of the Shao family. The howling celestial dog ignored the city guards. Although the city guard's cultivation was not very high, they still represented the four top forces. Even the howling celestial dog did not dare to make a move against them. The howling celestial dog's cultivation was at the late stage of the celestial extremity realm. However, it had not reached the peak yet. There were many cultivators at its level in the four top forces. There were even people who could make it flee pathetically, such as Jenny from the Sword Pavilion. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. This is a guest of the Xiao family. Don't worry, the Xiao family can guarantee that it will not cause any trouble. Xiao Lingyu walked out of the door and cupped his hands at the city guards as he explained politely. These city guards naturally recognized the Xiao clan's patriarch, so they quickly retreated. You're doing pretty well now, kid. The howling celestial dog praised. Then, it walked into the Xiao family's courtyard and said, but it's not a good choice for you to settle your new home in this new city. Why? Xiao Lingyu asked. The howling celestial dog found an empty space beside the door and lay down, saying, this place is too close to the celestial forest and the demon abyss. If anything happens in these two places, this new city will be the first to bear the brunt. There are experts from the four top forces in the new city. There are also countless Nirvana realm and celestial extremity realm experts living here. It won't be too dangerous. You're tuning into the Mythic Realms YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.